Yeah. OnChain Revolution, you're not bullish enough. OnChain Revolution, you're not bullish enough. Every day we steady looking at the market, and we gon' tell you how to get started. Chain abstraction, fear and greed index, always looking at price action. Roll call in advance, you don't even gotta mention. I swap it in the deck, you're not bullish enough. Trade it in the segs, you ain't trenching enough. We do that market recap. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to rehab. Shizzy and Yagobi. OnChain Revolution, network in the art. Every day we go live, baby, you know where we are. We mention all the networks and the crypto. Need some more liquidity. Flipping and trading is the recipe. Too many protocols to count. I get high and I'm never coming down. Number go up, then I'ma say peace. Yeah, you thought that I was gonna leave. Yeah, we just getting started, man. OnChain Revolution. Every day. Bring the beat back. Eyes everywhere, gotta be careful with volatile meme coins. You can get some bread if you round trip it, then you gon' regret. All this information in my head. BYOR, touch grass instead. Nobody really knows how it's gon' end up today. Somebody gotta tell you what's happening today. I don't let the money change me no way. OnChain Revolution, here to stay. Yeah, say I'm Sage, man. Voodoo 2 on the way. Yeah. Nicky's. Yeah. OnChain Revolution. OnChain. Hey, OnChain Revolution. Bitcoin not an illusion. Market recap, then I do a roll call. You're not bullish in the vocal. Look at the price action, change. Yeah, send it to the deck. Sell it through the stack. Order knows the best. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to read. If you end up bearish, gotta put the knee pad. Let me see the comments. Look at the fear and greed index. Bridge. Look at the chart.
Welcome back to OnChain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire Bitcoin, crypto ecosystems. What is up, guys? An amazing show for you guys today. We're live from the OnChain Hour, and this one is going to be absolutely awesome, guys, because Bitcoin is climbing. Bitcoin is telling everybody one quote that I love, and that quote is, you are not bullish enough, guys. You're not bullish enough. We're sitting just under 98,000 right now. I'm excited. You should be excited. Even Ethereum's looking a little excited. We're gonna get into that. It finally broke its downtrend this week. Absolutely huge for Ethereum, which means it's absolutely huge for alts, meaning your ordinals, meaning your runes, meaning everything in crypto. When Ethereum finally does that push up, we can get excited, because we do know that retail doesn't give a shit about Bitcoin. They care about alts. They care about quick gains. And when that happens, when they can see quick gains, that's when they will enter. That's when we will thrive as an ecosystem. That's when we will thrive and onboard new people. And hopefully those tourists this time, they kind of stay and live in crypto with us. And I'm excited for today's show, guys. So without further ado, we bring in my partner, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up?
What's up, bro? Are you bullish enough?
I'm bullish enough for sure. This is what I expected. I've been saying this for, we've both been saying this for a couple of weeks, follow that M2 money supply, and it looks like it's playing out to a T. I will feel even better once we cross back over 100,000, because it feels like forever since we have been in that territory, right? So I think that will kind of say, okay, we have a lot to expect here in the next couple of weeks, possibly next couple of months, but feels good to be up in this uptrend. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, you tell no lie there. It feels great. Bitcoin shooting for the stars, 100K today. What are you thinking, bro? You thinking we can? This chart looks strong, man. This chart looks strong. How do you feeling?
It does look strong. It looks strong. There's a little bit of volatility though, right? From that 97,000 breaking right below that 97,000, high 96,000 to where we are now, which is that high 97,098. So yeah, look, if this trend continues, yeah, I think that we can possibly break through 100,000 today. We could do it, right? We obviously have 2 more thousand to get through if we get back to, cross over that 98,000. But we've seen moves like this. We saw a move like this last week, right? And so wouldn't shock me. Do I think that it's something I feel very strongly about? Not so much, but over the weekend, possibly, maybe ending Sunday, ending the weekly candle, crossing over 100,000 is very possible if we don't get it today.
Yeah, I hear you. I think if we hit like 99 today, which is definitely possible, it's only like 1%. Then potentially maybe Sunday night going into the week, we see Bitcoin kind of push above that 100K number, and then we have a really solid 100K week waiting for that Wednesday. But we'll get into that in a second. I want to check this out real quick. So ETH finally breaks downtrend, dating back to 4100 December peak. So let's show ETH, right? We saw the Bitcoin, right? Let's take a look at Bitcoin one more time. You saw it break out, very similar. Look at this right here, right? And then take a look at this. Tell me that ain't so similar. Like, what is happening to ETH? ETH is following Bitcoin here, dude. And like, take a look one more time, ready? Just look at this, right? The breakout sideways, and then look at this.
Yeah, it does, but it just shows like how strong dominance still is right now, right? Like when you flip back and forth those charts. But it hey, this is kind of like that M2 money supply, hopefully, where Bitcoin follows, and hopefully ETH will follow Bitcoin, like how Bitcoin is starting to follow the M2 money supply. Yeah. We know that Ethereum is that indicator to say to the alt markets, okay, it's back on. There's a lot of hate on it right now. There's a lot of players in the space ignoring it, but sometimes that's the category or asset that like ends up thriving is when no one's looking over there, right? So I wouldn't be shocked if that happens here, but I do know that if Ethereum does follow that way and gets hyper aggressive, then it's on like Donkey Kong.
Yeah, man. And like I said to me in the intro here that I think ETH is the lighter fluid that really kind of pops the alt season, right? Like, so do you believe that as well? Do you think ETH going up, ETH getting back to that 4K will ignite a super alt season like I do?
I do think that it will bring some excitement because it'll be a hot topic, and then there'll be expectation maybe tied in with some. Maybe you have to manufacture a little bit and get some, liquidity pumping and some EVM, ecosystems and stuff after ETH does move up. But yeah, I do think that is an indicator that everybody's looking for, at least, right? So we'll see if it has the same effects as previous cycles, because it could quite possibly do something different, right? We've seen a lot of different this cycle, but I do think that people will feel a little bit more optimistic once that happens for the alt markets. But we got somebody in the chat. Nakib says, who's Nakib, by the way?
Oh,
he says, what is Ethereum? Can you explain this token? Nice one, Nakib.
So in 2013, I'm just kidding. So the guy who created Ethereum, Bitcoin Magazine, the conference that everyone goes to, he actually left Bitcoin Magazine and then created Ethereum. That is because the maxis wouldn't let him create on Bitcoin, so he had to leave and create his own chain. But let's take a look at the Bitcoin dominance real quick. So I drew this house a long time ago, and it is just hanging out home. Ethereum is home right now. It's just on the couch, just waiting for Bitcoin. We will see what happens here, but this is another indicator of an alt season. We're going to need Ethereum right now. It looks like it's bottomed. We haven't seen Ethereum do this, what it's done. Ethereum's just kind of it's sitting flat. Let me get rid of this stupid line here, but it's sitting flat. It feels like a bottom. Like it besides here was a little bit of an uptrend. It has never really. I mean, this is like 15 days. This is a daily chart. 15 days of just. We took sideways, but this is more sideways than I've ever seen in my life.
I'm actually glad they didn't go to the foundation of the house, right? Like the bottom. Yeah. And this was something that he's been practicing drawing this house for like about 6 months, guys. No, just kidding. But the fact that it did consolidate there and didn't go down further, I think that is definitely a positive for Ethereum. But I think we kind of felt like it had bought, like how much further could it really go, right? Like below 1,000, that would have been horrible. So I think that this makes a lot of sense. And it kind of hit right in the middle of that house. Now maybe start to get that upward trajectory and start to be able to breathe again, right? Especially for the ETH bag holders there.
Well, it's not just for ETH bag holders either, right? The ETH is we need alt season. Like if retail doesn't give a shit about Bitcoin, right? They don't care about it. It's right now all the Bitcoin buying is being done by the rich people, right? The people already have a lot of money. People want to safe haven their money. We need retail to come in for a risk on cycle, and for that to happen, I think we need Ethereum to kind of burst out of here. We need this Ethereum Bitcoin chart to kind of fly up, because Bitcoin dominance is just too damn high. It's just too damn high. I mean, we got another all-time high today of just about 65. Let me get rid of these stupid lines again.
Dang.
But yeah, I mean, so yeah, we are at 64.92 right now. We are a pinch away from 65, which is, I mean, it's not an all-time high, but it's definitely a cycle high for sure. I mean, this chart has been the strongest chart I've ever seen. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it caught the bottom here, back up above where it was in December. 65. Yeah, so I think it's time to do something like this. Really soon.
What's the ETH Bitcoin chart look like? Was that the one with the house?
That was the house, yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, yeah, I do feel like that has probably bottomed out. I would imagine. Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah. Yep. All right, let's kind of get into the next topic here. Wednesday, May 7th. We talked about it all week, but I'm gonna keep pushing this on you guys because it's a really important date. 2 p.m. The FOMC meeting is 2:30, right? So at 2 p.m. we're gonna get he's basically gonna come out and say no change. But at 2:30, gotta remember the markets are forward looking. What does that mean? That means we always try to price in what we're hearing at that time for what's going to happen. If Jerome Powell comes out and says we're going to be doing 1 point cut this year, that means the markets are going to go absolutely nuts, no matter what he does at 2 p.m. It's all about what he says at 2:30, and the markets are forward looking. I think this is the day Bitcoin crosses the all-time high.
Wow, it's pretty early in this upward trajectory. But I mean, if you do look at the supply, the M2 money supply, it is kind of up only from here, right? Like if it tells it, so that makes some sense. I don't think he's going to be able to say anything really to deter Bitcoin or to bring it down much, really, right? Because we know that he's not going to do anything in terms of increase rates, right? So I think it's just going to be like it's either a win here or kind of like a nothing burger, So I think it's an opportunity, right? Like for Bitcoin and the markets, really. So we'll see what his tone's going to be. It's going to be an interesting one. There's a lot that's happened since the last time he's been public, right? In terms of some throwing under the bus by the administration of him, and him also kind of responding of like, tariffs are a lot worse than we thought. So we'll see where he is from a sentiment standpoint with his tone, because it's what everybody goes off of. But I'll definitely be tuning in to see, because it's going to be an interesting one.
For sure. And the odds of a rate cut next week are dropped to 1%.
Woo!
So let me actually show you this chart. It's actually, so 98% chance of continuing at our current rate at 425 to 450. So we're at about it's basically 4.2% to 4.5%. Whereas where we're at right now, people want to get us under 4% interest rates, but that's from bank to bank, obviously. So if you take out a loan or a mortgage, you're definitely higher than 4%. But we want to get this a little lower. But they're saying it won't be this month. Almost zero. This is just people playing the lottery at this point.
Yeah, and you could see from Polymarket like a month and a half ago, I think that was like a 30% or something, and it just like all the way down to 1. So I'm sure June probably looks not as high as it did before. I think it was like maybe 50%, 45% or something for June. But remember that they said they have 4 different cuts, right? So like, how are they going to utilize those, right?
Yeah.
Is it 4 different cuts or 4, could they do like a full BIP? Would that count as 2, or no? It's just like 4 cuts.
Well, I said 4 cuts, but they said 1 full point. Right? They would love to get it down to 3%. So in my head, I was thinking 0.25, 0.25, 0.25, 0.25. Right? I think that's kind of what's been happening, right? So.
Yeah, but if they save them up, they could definitely get a little hyper aggressive, right? Because they're like, okay, full point. They haven't done anything yet, so we're gonna have to do half of one here, and then maybe 2 months later, another half. So that could be a very bullish environment, and I think that's what we're all hoping for. At least give me a good Christmas. We had a good Christmas. We had a good Christmas 2 years ago in Ordinals, but I think during the bull run, everybody wants a good Christmas, right? So
Yeah. Jerome's very methodical. He's probably going to say, potentially a rate cut in June. And that would markets would rip off that, right? Let's just say we get one in June, 0.25, one in August, 0.25, right? And then maybe we sit for a month, sit sideways. And then in October, November, we get another 0.25. In December, we get another 0.25. Goal set, right? It's done in a very methodical way, but we are in a rate cutting cycle. So that is upward momentum for risk on assets.
Yeah, could be a great environment.
Moving along here, Bitcoin price forecast for 2025 range from 122,000 to 700,000. Let me show you this chart real quick because it is absolutely nuts. So this is the price predictions of these major companies, these major people as well. Chamov's in here, but Standard Chartered is predicting a 2025 target of 200K. HC Wainwright is predicting a 225. Cena or 21st Capital, they are predicting they have a huge range here of 135 to 285.
That's smart.
Yeah. BlackRock, Fink. Look at this. Fink says 700.
Wow.
So,
2025 too. So
yeah. So it's core thesis, 2 to 5% of institutional allocation. So he's not even saying countries. He's saying institutional. He's saying NVIDIA. He's saying Apple. He's saying, Amazon, right? 2 to 5% allocation. This is actually huge. And then we got Tom Lee, very conservative guy, 250K. Anthony Pompliano, somebody that I admire, another 250K. Chamath Palihapitiya, 500K. Monetary escape valve. He's saying Bitcoin is gold. And then you have Van Eck, 180 with a retrace. Institutional roadmap. 10x research says 122. And GFOX survey, which is a survey. This is an index survey, says 150K by retail. What stands out to you on this? And what are you thinking?
So the BlackRock prediction stands out to me because it's really obviously it's really high, and I think that if that happens, it's probably next year. But hey, look, they're really confident with it. You see Chamath as well, kind of that second highest prediction at 500K. But the 2 to 5% institutional allocation, to me, that's very interesting, especially with times right now. Some of these large companies, institutions, they are probably trying to figure out how they can hedge a little bit with, especially if they have products that come from overseas and that type of thing. So you mentioned that NVIDIA is already starting to dabble and add to their balance sheet, right? I think that this could be a little bit of a safe play. And so some of these bigger companies, Apple, maybe NVIDIA, other ones as well, might start to add Bitcoin to their balance sheet as a little bit of a safe haven type of asset, right? Because if you zoom out, there's no denying that it's an up only asset if you zoom out, right? So I expect this to occur more from strong companies that have the ability to say, okay, look, we're willing to hedge with creating this this Bitcoin reserve, but they can because they have so much capital from their extreme revenue, like NVIDIA, right? Not every company is going to have that, be in that situation, but I think that you have GameStop that how are they making money anyways right now? They just made it off of their stock, really, right? Pushing it, and so they have a good opportunity like that. But we'll see how many actual companies come on board. I think we're going to see more and more.
Yeah, to your point, rumor has it that NVIDIA has purchased 1 Bitcoin for their balance sheet. That's just the rumor. I don't know how true that is. But they said basically they opened up a new wallet and they're trying to make sure that, everything's safe. They're trying to custody their own Bitcoin. And, so having 1 Bitcoin in there allows them to kind of test, make sure, who's going to hold the keys. But that's just a rumor, right? But I think what's about to happen is I think Larry Fink is right. I think a lot of companies are about to come in, but they're about to come in now. They're about to come in May, right? And I feel that way because everything just looks so bullish and we're getting constant buying, right? So somebody's doing this constant buying, or many are doing this constant buying right now. 97K. I mean, it's hard to move Bitcoin 1% these days, 2%, 3%. It's not like how it used to be. So these are big buys that are coming in. And you see Michael Saylor doesn't really move the chart at all, right? He moves a couple percentage points during his buying period. So I believe that this month of May and is going to be a huge because Q2 ends in June. Like May 31st is the end of Q2. What happens is in June, July, you're gonna have companies coming out and actually, well, no, Q2 ends June 31st, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
so you're gonna have May and June, they're gonna come in and start buying, and then in July, you're gonna have companies reporting. And what are they gonna reporting? They're gonna reporting that they hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So that's how I see us kind of flying up right now, is that they're gonna buy in May and June, report that they bought in July, and that could be a catalyst to take us, to
Q4.
insane numbers, 160, 180K by August, maybe put a cooldown.
Yeah, 160, 180K by August. How likely does that get to 700K by December 30th, though? I
No,
don't
well,
know.
yeah, I mean, my prediction is next May.
Yeah,
700K,
I'm talking
right?
about for
So
BlackRock. So
yeah,
but for me, that's why I always like look at the highest prediction and then I
yeah,
look at the lowest and try to find like a middle ground. So I like something like Anthony Popoliano is putting
yeah,
out there with 250, maybe 300,000, something like that.
yeah. Still very bullish, man. Very bullish. All these predictions are bullish because they're a lot higher than where we are now. Except the screw 10x research. They can go research these nuts. But like, yeah, let's move along here. Just kidding around. All right. So the U.S. unemployment number came out today, 4.2%. This is the reason why, they're kind of saying that they're going to keep rates the same going forward. But just real quick on that, I got some really bad news, man, this morning.
Uh-oh.
Really bad news. I mean, no one's really talking about it either, but it's something that I think we all should take a deep breath when we see it. You ready for it?
Yep.
GTA 6 has been delayed until May 26, 2000. And this is the reason why the bull market's going to end. It's going to end on May 26 because everyone's going to stop what they're doing and go play GTA 6. No, I'm just kidding, but I don't know. Watching Guru posted it, so I was like, let's throw it in. But what is your thoughts on GTA 6 being delayed this morning?
I was wondering if they just put it in because there's like some sort of like integration or something with Web3. But if it's just a regular delay, I don't really care. I mean, I know people have
Yeah.
been waiting for this forever, but it would be cool if it was there was some Web3 integration in there. Because you've stated this before, GameFi in our space is probably only going to really take off once a mainstream, video game development company integrates it, right? And so
Yeah. I honestly think they're waiting for regulation, right? One, and they're probably doing something with AI now. And AI has really taken a step forward this year, like real step forward this year with all the new ChatGPTs and stuff. And I think they want time to integrate the AI and the crypto stuff. And I think it might get delayed again, but that would be amazing if we get a Rockstar coin that is usable on Coinbase and in the game, to where you can go, make an awesome car. But like, I don't have time to play this game anymore. Sell that car for actually real Rockstar coin that I can take and buy on Coinbase, buy it off you, and then I have that car that you work so hard on, right? Like, it's actually selling your time for money in the game. It's actually, I don't know. I think that it's going to be some really cool stuff.
yeah, it'll be a very, very fun time, in my opinion, for people to take advantage of their skills in that sector. So
100%. Strategy, MSTR, is up 3,000% since adopting the Bitcoin standard. They came out in September. They started buying in August. And I know this because me and Saylor kind of got in around the same time. And he started buying in August, and then they announced it in September, 2 months after buying their first amount of Bitcoin. That Bitcoin was between 8 and 11K, depending on what day, because between August and September, it was up to 11, back down to 8. They announced it right after Bitcoin was like $9,000. They're up 3,000%. Their stock is up 3,000% since adopting the Bitcoin standard. I mean, that is an insane amount. I mean, $1 equals 3,000.
is this like a publicly traded company strategy now, right?
Yeah.
The who else has done this in the US, right? It's just really them, because I don't think
Yeah.
GameStop has made that move yet.
No.
But hopefully we see more of this. People talk about like how this can be very, very scary, and how all this like weight is kind of on the shoulders of MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor and all this stuff if something were to go wrong. But like the way Bitcoin is heading, in terms of its price trajectory, and you zoom out, I don't think he can really lose here, right? Because I'm sure that like he's showing his board, he's showing people that like he's put protections in place in case like Bitcoin gets volatile, you know, a situation happens, a war comes out of nowhere. But we know once you zoom out, it doesn't matter. Like the trajectory is up only. And so how do you lose here? It's literally like a, you know, one benefits the other kind of situation. And unless Bitcoin crashes extremely hard and then all those fail safes get obliterated, like this is only going to make both entities more and more valuable over time, or more both sides of the entity, I should say.
Well, there is one thing that can go wrong, right? Him taking out too much leverage and getting his liquidation price higher and higher, because there's something in the news today that says Michael Saylor strategy doubles its capital plan to a total of 84 billion to buy more Bitcoin. Let me kind of get into this a little bit. The capital plan is structured to raise 42 billion through equity offerings and another 42 billion via fixed income instruments such as debt. The fundraising and Bitcoin acquisitions are expected to occur over time upon market conditions and investor demand. So the original plan was 42 billion. Now the new plan is 84 billion. Saylor plans to raise a lot of money to buy. Just think about how much money that is, right? Bitcoin is a $2 trillion asset, right? So, you know, let's just say 100 billion. That's 5% of all the Bitcoin, right? That's 5% of the Bitcoin's price. He wants to add just him alone 5% of the Bitcoin value to buy more Bitcoin.
Yeah, and I'm sure that his board, you know, has to see the plan, the you know, the fail safes, all these things before he does every single thing. And that's what I'm trying to, I guess, harp on here, is that like they would be pushing back, you know, pushing him back, in my opinion, if you know they saw the risk continually go up in terms of, you know, the fate of strategy. Now strategy is the name of it, right? So I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But it does make me nervous. Like it makes me nervous to see this, right? And then also it's like you get to a point to where you're like, okay, how much percent can one entity really have to where it starts to feel like it's starting to get kind of centralized, right? I don't know.
Well, yeah, I agree. So 84 billion would get him the million Bitcoin, a little bit more than a million Bitcoin officially, because they're at 546 or something like that, right? 500,046. So yeah, it's scary one that he's going to be stretching his limits here. He's really going to be pushing this, but if he's right, and let's just say he gets this million Bitcoin by the end of the year, early next year, Bitcoin's, you know, in 2030, they're $1 million each. Michael Saylor is a trillionaire. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, and you got to think of it as the board, like you said, the board, right? The board's seen Michael Saylor make them 3,000% gain since doing this. They're not pushing back. They're like, you know, they have all their faith. I mean, dude, anyone who made you 3,000%, right? They're gonna be like,
no,
he knows what he's doing.
I agree
right?
with that. I agree with that. But at the same time, like I'm sure that they have, you know, the board has their risk assessment team that's looking at it, and there's like, you know, probably like a graph that they see and says, hey, we're kind of getting close to this area. They go over it in the meetings, all this stuff that's necessary to happen. I'm sure that, like, you know, they have to go through all that stuff, right? But yeah, does he have a lot of faith, I think, built up from the investors? Of course, right? Like he's shown to be successful. It's the first company to take this strategy, and now you're starting to see other, you know, like Meta Planet follows second from Japan. But it does also make me a little curious as why other companies aren't really kind of jumping at this. You know, why are they not doing this, you know, like the same strategy that Michael Saylor's taking? And that makes me kind of scratch my head.
Well, I just think those companies, you got to remember, when Mike Saylor started doing this, he had full voting power, right? I think he still might have full voting power. So it doesn't matter what anyone really says. I mean, he will probably take that into his thought process, but it doesn't matter. These other companies, you have 16 people, sometimes, you know, 12 people on the board. You need like 8 of them to sign off on it, right? So and to feel really good about it, you need all 12 on board. So I think that, you know, the Apple, you know, they're sitting there, and I think people are changing their mind. day by day. So you might see more and more people put this plan, one, put it into vote, and two, get that vote to pass. And who knows, in these internal talks, I mean, there's probably somebody on every board that's like, yo, I think we should do this. And there's probably someone on every board that says, no, that's stupid. So that's the problem, I think. It's slow-moving companies, slow-moving systems.
So, like, I remember last time I looked this up, he had like 40% voting power, and now that's increased. He's like at 68, 70%. So he has.
He's
I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot, dude.
I mean, you can't say no one's going to go against you at that point. So
I mean, he's probably just like, if you want out, get out.
yeah. Well, no, he did that. He offered in September of 2020. He told everybody, if anyone wants out, get out now. And they did, and they missed out on 3,000% gain. He was buying their shares with the money from Microsoft. They're basically doing buybacks. All right, let's jump to the next thing here. CEO Paolo Ardonio, I hope I said that right, announced that Tether is developing a new stablecoin tailored specifically for the U.S. market, targeting large regulated institutions. Unlike USDT, which is used in emerging markets, the new digital currency aims to meet infrastructure requirements of U.S. financial institutions. What do you think about Tether creating a U.S. version of USDT or another version of a stablecoin to kind of be in the U.S. and maybe get that listed on Coinbase and stuff like that? What do you think about this?
I think that this we're going to see how much meddling the regulators are going to have here. We know that Circle has really good positioning in the U.S. for the USDC. I was under the impression, and it's not USDT, by the way. It's this other product that are coming out that's targeting institutions. So I wonder if this also is going to maybe affect this whole XRP and Circle kind of situation. Maybe they're like, let's take the $20 billion and not really deal with this competition that might get really heated between, Tether, right? Because Tether's one thing about them is that they're an animal, like they're a beast in terms of like their entity, like all the things that they do, they have capital to do anything pretty much, right? This is in my opinion bullish for stablecoin adoption within like the banking institutions and financial institutions. How does that play out? I don't know, because now we got some big monsters in this market already with Tether, and then USDC. Is there any opportunity for like emerging companies in the US market, to maybe compete with them? We're going to find out.
Yeah. Is this a kind of a cop out though from Tether? Because like the main reason why they're not fully regulated is because they're not doing any audits, right? Like they won't really allow any audits into the money backing it. So by doing that, that is why they cannot be regulated. So instead of auditing USDT, they're just going to create a new coin, basically backing it by the same thing, but have that fully audited. Why not just audit USDT? Why not? Like that's the problem, right? That's the issue that I'm seeing. Why not just regulate USDT? It's already the #1 stablecoin in the world.
Yeah, I think maybe it could be like an institutional branding approach too, right? Like, hey, look, this is a separate product. We're going to cater. We're going to, give you guys white glove service here, that kind of situation. We want to dominate this market, the institutional stablecoin market, right? You're always going to have this, and this with us. And they're going to be competing with the likes of Circle. They're going to be competing with whatever, like, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with like the Wyoming state stablecoin that they're coming out with. Are they going to, they're probably going to be competing with them, like within the regional banking system as well. So this is a whole new way of doing this is a reset with the financial system. So we're going to be learning as, it evolves as time goes on. And so it's going to be something that's going to be pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, for sure. I actually like that answer a lot, because you're basically saying that this is going to be like a pretty image, right? It's not going to be like Tether's kind of looked at as the I mean, that's what's being used in illicit activity, right? That's what's being used in
or DJ
anyway. So this is kind of looked at like a corporate version of USDT, a more elegant version, a more cleaned up version. I get it. Yep. All right. You kind of mentioned it, but let's kind of get into it. Ripple ups bid for Circle from 5 billion to 20 billion after initial offer rejected, aiming to dominate the stablecoin market. Ripple's like, we want this, and we don't care how much XRP we're going to have to sell. We want this, right? So, what do you think about this? First off, we talked about it yesterday. 5 billion. We're both kind of in the same boat. Like, why would Circle do that? But let's just say you're Jeremy Allaire. You're already very well off. Are you taking this 20 billion that you have to split with your shareholders?
I would either rebuttal or hold out. So like, rebuttal counter offer, or say no, we're not interested, because I think they would go one more round maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll just thinking, like, if it was me, it'd be fun to kind of do this, right? I mean, you're going from 5 billion to 20, so that tells me that you have a lot of available capital. We don't know what the messaging is. We don't know if this is our best and final offer or whatever, if they said that. But going 4 times from your initial offer, to me, I would say I'm holding out. I think you got more. But I would probably take the next offer if it was me. But who knows? Circle probably has all types of plans and contracts and everything set up with these franchise banks and institutional banks in America and stuff. So.
Well, they're planning to go public, right? What is that? When you sell 40% of your company to the open market, right? I mean, that number is going to vary in how you want, but is normally a range around between 30 and 40%. So XRP is like, if you don't do this, we'll just go into the market and we'll buy up to 30%, right? So it's like either way, they can, if they go public, Ripple can come in and potentially buy as much as they want on the open market and get say in the company. I mean, that's what Warren Buffett does. If a company doesn't sell, he'll go into the open market and buy it that way. So you got to be sitting in a circle, like they're going to be coming on the board either way, because they already got a ticker, right? So, I mean, it depends. When you go public, I mean, you're putting yourself out there. You can have people come in that maybe you don't like, and get enough say in the company to where you make some changes. So.
Yeah, you can. There's things you can do to try to stop purchases and stuff like that at that size.
Yeah.
But because you're not going to do that over a brokerage website account. If you're trying to buy 51% of the shares.
No,
right?
you would do it. You would
OTC. Some sort of situation like that. So there's ways to stop them from doing that. But yeah, look, I mean, 20 billion is the second offer. Who knows? Maybe the next one's like 50. You know what I mean?
How much XRP they're going to have to sell?
That would make me nervous as an XRP holder, but I don't know how they're going to try to get this.
Yeah, 100%. Because, they're going to have to sell the open market, get the cash, and then send it to them. But, it does make XRP actually relevant and actually get me bullish on XRP for the first time, because XRP becomes a chain token, stablecoin chain token, right? The gas to send USDC. Brian Armstrong at base, he uses USDC. Like, so it's the biggest stablecoin in the US, right? Like, it's number one here, because it's so it seems. But like, why wouldn't XRP just come up with their own stablecoin? Like, why go this route? They don't want to compete, or they want the advantage? Like, why?
I think because Circle has so much stuff already set up, and they're already in good with the regulators. It seems to be like they're in good with the Fed and the banking system, because they already stated, USDC already stated that they're not trying to do like a bank product to the public to earn yield off of USDC, which to me that sucks for the but it probably satisfies the Fed. It probably satisfies the banking institution, the banking bros, right? And then for Brad Garlinghouse, he has that background already, so he's kind of like this is a kind of like already set up. It's like getting an already like operating with good revenue business, you know what I mean, rather than starting from scratch, having the brand, that having to get into everywhere and all that stuff. So that's my perspective on it.
I think I 100% agree with that. All good. Let's move along here. So this is funny. This is something that you actually brought to my attention this morning. The CoinGecko posted this chart. You guys can see it. So in 2021, there was 2,584 failed tokens. In 2022, there was 213,000 failed tokens. We know that was a bear market year. That's very normal. In 2023, 245,000. 2024 was a year of pump fun. 1.3 million failed tokens, and in 2025, 1.8 million failed tokens so far this year. We are in May. This is absolutely crazy, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, it is absolutely crazy, and it's a little worrisome. In 2021, people were still, the everyday person couldn't launch a token. I mean, you could learn,
Yeah.
but you didn't have ChatGPT. You had to do it through Google or know somebody, know a developer, or something like that. So that's totally different because you actually had to use like what was that, the browser-based platform Remix to get the Solidity contract together, and then launch it and all that stuff with liquidity. And so it was a lot harder. But then you go to 2022, and that's a pretty big jump up though. Actually, before Pump Fund, you go from 2,584 to 213,000. So that means that there was just a lot of tokens, and a lot of that has to do with the EVM boom too. Remember, because now you have Avalanche, now you have Phantom, now you have chains like Kronos and Polygon, and people were just launching tokens on there too. But it did make a drastic difference once Pump Fund was introduced. You went from the low six figures to over 1 million. And so I'm looking at this now as people just launching websites, and they don't have it's like the scam website days, maybe trying to scam people. And there's just there's constantly domains that are being bought. You remember, people are trying to flip domains and all that stuff. So I think this does calm down because people aren't going to fall for the casino games as much anymore in the future. It's going to just be looked at as such a high risk type of space for that. And I think things begin to have more value, and people start to look into building actual entities and companies and stuff like that.
Yeah. 100%. Real projects with real meaning behind them, not just these casino coins. But you got to remember, Pump Fund and Boop and all these. I mean, that's the thing too. Is you have 19 Pump Funds now, you know what I mean, or Pump Fund style companies, and they're all sitting there and they're all just pumping tokens, right? So you're probably going to see 10, 20, 30 million tokens this year. But they gamified this now. It's like these tokens aren't really. I almost want to put these in different categories, right? Than actual tokens. I don't think it's fair to categorize Pump Fund tokens as failed tokens because it's just a casino game. It's just you know what I mean? It's like they're chips. You're not going to count every chip anymore. I don't know.
Well, we're already starting to see a pivot a little bit, or an addition, I should say, which I absolutely love with, the Boop thing. At least you're putting your Twitter account to it. So look, the goal is to get it to a certain market cap, certain milestones or market caps. But if you dump on somebody, that's your reputation. Before it was like cabals. People didn't know if this person was in it. This one, post maybe, that kind of thing. And then the second thing is you see something like virtuals, which realize, hey, look, we have too much of a Pump Fund model because there's AI supposedly utility to this. Now they have their Genesis coins, which gives people more, be the ability to be at ease going into something because it's safer. You still have your Pump Fund category over there. I think it's called prototypes or something still. That most of those are probably just going to rug. But then you have the Genesis ones that have more of a opportunity to actually be something. I want to see more of this because to me, this is an effort from the platform saying, hey, look, we don't want it to just be casino, people just losing all the time. You have multiple options here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yep. All right. So we're very bullish on the show, right?
Yeah, we are.
I do want to show something a little bearish just in case, right? So I don't believe this, but this is something Adiv sent me yesterday. He said, hey, what do you think about this? Someone sent it to me. I mean, it does look pretty damn close. That would say that the cycle top was 108,000. What do you think about something like this? Is this possible?
No.
I love it. But look though, dude, it's like
I know it looks very similar. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
What chart is that? What time frame is that?
This is the weekly or monthly, or I don't know.
It looks like monthly. It looks like monthly.
Yeah.
It looks like monthly. Yeah. So the monthly chart there. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it does look pretty lined up with it. But how close is it gonna line up with that? That's just kind of, in my opinion, I feel like this is more of a coincidence. We're gonna hit new all-time highs with Bitcoin. Look, if we were in that, we would have already crashed, in my opinion, a couple weeks ago. You know what I mean? We would have crashed a couple weeks ago whenever everything was horrible with the tariffs and all that stuff, you know. And so I feel like that's I feel like we're not.
Well, they're calling this technically the complacency bounce. Right, we're in a bouncing situation, and I mean, you know, I hate to admit how close this chart does look, though. You know, so
yeah,
but you know, got to have some wrong charts to have some good ones. Right now, every chart can be right, so we'll see what happens. But let's get in today's crypto fear and greed. Wow, I didn't realize we're so far deep in the show. So let's jump over to. I used the Binance crypto fear. Ooh, the number looks good, bro. All right, so last week we were at a 60. Yesterday was a 53. We were above last week's 60, but we are not in the 70s, but we're in the high 60s. Where do you think we are, sir?
I think we are in. What was yesterday?
So yesterday was 53. Last week was a 60, but we are looking good.
Yeah, so 60, 67, 68.
Woo! Hit it on the nail, dude. Let's go. 67 right there, sitting in greed. I love this chart. I absolutely love this chart, bro. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy with the way, price action is happening. I actually did use the hour chart to kind of get my score. I'm gonna start doing this more. But I could kind of see how we looked at that, that what was it the 8 p.m. Eastern time frame. So that's what made me guess that. Yeah. So cool.
Yup. All right. Let's get into that Bitcoin price action brought to you guys by Artura.finance. Artura, guys, we're gonna be putting out an airdrop video on Sunday for our members. If you are a YouTube member, you're gonna get videos every Sunday now. Sorry we neglected you guys a little bit. It's just been a little crazy here, but every Sunday we're gonna be putting out member-only videos. And in those members-only videos, this week anyway, we're gonna be doing airdrops. I am airdrop chasing, guys. I am at the point where I am thinking that we're gonna get an airdrop season. I want to be a part of it, especially on some Bitcoin L2s. And Artura, they're gonna be on Hemi. So potentially by using Artura, you're going to be able to airdrop not only the Artura token, but the Hemi token. Hemi is actually backed by Binance. What does that mean? It usually means that they're going to have a token and it's going to get listed on Binance. It's pretty simple. But by using Artura, you're double dipping the airdrop, right? Double the airdrop, double the fun, right? Because that's double the money. I mean, that's what it's all about, guys. Crypto has an opportunity for a lot of people to make wealth doing zero investing. Right, you can just play on testnets and actually make a lot of money. We want you guys to do that with Artura. We want you guys to potentially use when the mainnet drops as well. Mainnets are important too. There's a lot of airdrop opportunities, but when Artura's airdrop happens, we want you guys to do low leverage, low money, and stack some points and also get some Hemi. So look out for that, guys. Should be dropping in the next month or so. Really looking forward to Artura.finance.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Exciting times for Artura. But before we get into the Bitcoin price action, guys, if you can help us out here on the YouTube side, smash that like for us, subscribe to the channel, and turn your notifications on so you know when we go live. On the X side, guys, there's a lot of people traveling today, I assume, from Dubai back to their home. So safe travels to you guys. But let's share the space so we can educate the people that are here. Share the space. We want to onboard as many people to crypto and the Bitcoin ecosystem as possible. And the abstract stream too, if you could share that, we would greatly appreciate that. But let's jump into some price action here. Starting with the hour chart per usual. But yeah, the hour chart looks pretty decent. Maybe a little bit of a stall here though. A little bit of a stall here, but it's okay. You can see yesterday, whenever I said I looked at where we were yesterday, I was looking at this green candle. So when you said we were at 50 something and we were in the 60s, I said, okay, that was probably a good time. So you can see here, we did kind of pull back overnight, and then early hours of the morning had this big build up here, and that got us up to about that almost $98,000 mark, right? We are seeing a little bit of a pullback here. You can see on the stochastic RSI, it does look like it's starting to maybe like do a U-turn of momentum a little bit. The MACD doesn't look very strong here. We could find ourselves in a consolidation kind of period here for the next couple hours, if this doesn't get too strong, or it could flip red. We could see something, a sell down for, maybe like $1,000 sell down or something like that, just to kind of, liquidate some of these greedy people that just took a bunch of aggressive longs or something like that. But I'm still staying with my mindset, right? This M2 money supplies that just zoom out. Whether we pull back $2,000 today over the weekend or we go up 2,000 more, I know where we're going to be, in my opinion, at least for the next 1.5 months, right? 1.5 to 2 months. So second half of today, really need to figure out what it wants to do, because right now, to stop right here and its steps and turnarounds is a little odd. I wonder if there was maybe some news that came up. We'll see. But if this does go down aggressively, then maybe we do have some downside chop here, getting down to like back to 96, 95.5, something like that. But if we continue this up, then second half of today is kind of what I said, soldier on, get through that 98. Probably won't see that, 100,000. That's a very optimistic type of outlook for the day. Could see it happen on Sunday, though. So really need to figure out where Bitcoin wants to go right now. If you look at the support and resistance, there's definitely more support than resistance in these price ranges. You can see 97.5. There's a lot more support right here. But let's kind of zoom in terms of the time, I guess, like range of how much data we're grabbing. This is going to go from 3 a.m. today. So if we look at the 3 a.m. to where we are now data, so yeah, we still do have more support in this right at that 97,500. You see the green is support, red is resistance. Up here is a little bit more resistance, still more support than resistance. And then you see this is in that 97.6 is kind of where that resistance starts to even out. So we'll see how this plays out. Maybe if we can get some more buy orders come in here, we can get back above. But hey, maybe we just do need a little bit of pendulum swinging back and forth here. On the 4-hour chart, looking pretty good. You can see the setup we definitely did go into this buy pressure overnight with a little bit of pullback. You saw the weak areas here on the MACD with kind of getting back into the stronger buy pressure again. We really need to see where that hour chart wants to go. If we can pick a direction here, it's going to really determine if we can finish out the weekend on the 4-hour chart with some continuous bullish price action. Saturdays are typically, a trader day where you'll see a lot of like up and down, and then Sunday evening is that big move, right? So we'll see what happens on Sunday evening. But I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about it. I wouldn't be mad if we pulled back a little bit and then see what happens Sunday evening. And then taking a look here at the weekly, which looks beautiful. Still not at that 75-80% on the stochastic RSI, to the overbought territory. That's going to make me feel a lot better, but we're definitely heading there. You can see the leading blue line is almost at that 75%. But once we get there, I'm going to feel even better. But this looks beautiful right here. You can see this strong leg right here, just continuing up here. And the MACD, stochastic, the candles, beautiful setup. And once we do get up here, I imagine we're going to be up here for a while, right? And that's where I think we'll hit those new all-time highs. First getting to that 110, and then 115. So that might take us towards the end of this month to get there. If Shizzy's right, might just take us next week. We'll see. But it's exciting times because we are seeing, consistency with what we have been able to forecast, right? And that's Bitcoin following the M2 money supply.
Every time we bounce off that line, though, we've gone up a lot, right? So it's like every single time we bounced off that line, it's just been in this bull market anyway.
The 50-day EMA, this one?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you can see right there too.
Back there.
Yeah.
It's got a little deeper there, but still bounced.
Exactly. Once it does make the actual conviction move, right? And that's whenever you see something strong like this. To me, these are conviction candles, like consistent green, strong candles. Last week's was obviously really strong. This week's pretty decent, small, but like we have to remember how much we went up last week. But yeah, this Bitcoin right there. Going to the others chart. This is not the others. Let's get to the others. I thought I had that up, but All right. So the others chart kind of just doing what we expect it to do, right? Still waiting on Bitcoin, kind of in the same position as Bitcoin is obviously not as aggressive as we know. Bitcoin's dominance is still what 60, almost 65%. So once that dominance chills out, Bitcoin finds. I think it's not going to chill out though until it gets to that new all-time high, and then we're going to see how much further it wants to aggressively run. And once it finds that first stopping point, I think that's whenever this chart will catch up. But looking really good here as well on the others. And last thing I want to go over again, like I always do, is the crypto bubbles. Looking at the top 100 tokens here, looking pretty good on the day. Not as green as yesterday, I don't think, but still majority green. Bonk is down about 4%. So some of these meme tokens are actually pulling back. Flocky is down 4%. Yeah, other than that, and then you can see some of these utility tokens kind of bouncing back up. So you see Hype up 4.3%, Immutable X up 6.7%, BSV up 4.1%. Shout out Jack Luke, he loves BSV. Don't let him trick you. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so these alts are looking pretty decent. Yeah, there's a bit more red, I think, than yesterday, but they had a pretty good week, so I'm okay with where we are here.
Well, this is why dominance of Bitcoin's going up, right? I mean, we're seeing Bitcoin dominance almost 65. So, I mean, for that to happen, you need either Bitcoin to run or you need the alts to go down against Bitcoin. So, and that's kind of what we're seeing today. Ugh, sucks, but we'll see. We'll see what happens this weekend. I'm very bullish on Sunday, so we will see. But let's kind of get into roll call today. I really appreciate you guys. I know it's a late roll call, but you guys are absolutely awesome. And first is first on this show, which means you get documented. We're going to dox you, Lucky Lucky. No, I'm just kidding. But you, sir, have your 12th win of the year. Congratulations. Your 3rd win of the week, bro. This is what I'm talking about. This is anyone's game. I know Danny Boy's sitting there with 20. Webdro's sitting there with, I want to say 15. Is that right? Yeah, it looks like 16. 16. Webdro's at 16. So this is anyone's race, man. Lucky Lucky going to catch up to Webdro. Webdro, better get back in the driver's seat, man. Lucky Lucky's coming for you in that 2nd place spot anyway. So really appreciate every single one of you guys who makes this every single day. Even it's cool just to get on here, right? Mr. Sheedy got one. Like, that's just cool. And shout out to you guys, man.
Yes, sir.
That number 2 spot today, we got Malam Yuri. Malam, thank you so much for being here. ASAP Benji is here. Mats is here. Arita TV is here. Shout out to Arita. He says June rate cut odds have collapsed to 39% in June on the CME futures market. So problem that happened. Well, it depends. So that none of that matters. It's too far out. You got to see what Jerome says next Wednesday. So that's the thing. I think he's going to get really bullish on Wednesday. That's going to change everything.
Yeah.
You're going to see that thing kind of shoot.
Last month, June's rate cut odds were at like 60% or something crazy.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean that drop. Yeah, 100%. Mats is here. Shout out to Mats. Danny Boy, our guy. Appreciate you, my friend. PJNZ is here. He says, seriously, guys. What's up, man? What's up? Because 100K today? Sorry, bro. Lucky Lucky closing in on my score fast. Yes, he is. Danny Boy says, every time I try to get others a chance, Lackey snipes. Shout out to Lackey and Danny, man. Glasshopper is here. Says, crypto May? Crypto summer? What the heck is that? Yeah, it's not normal. I'll tell you that. But hey, a lot of crazy stuff has happened this year. Why not change up the summer too? Mr. Hanky, the Christmas poo, is here. Shout out to Mr. Hanky and his Billy Cat. Lucky Lukey and his Billy Cat. Nighthawk UXL says GM, my amigos. Danny, you have to stick it to their throats. No mercy, bro. Shout out to Nighthawk. Those Nukies, man. They're ruthless. Mempool Punk is here. Bitcoin is truth, says let's go. Abstract is here. Chips and Dip is here. Kane is here. Superfan, shout out to Superfan. GM, my guy. Appreciate you being here every single day, man. Steamy J says yo GM buddies. GM for the Bells, guys. Yes, Bells Halving is around the corner. We're gonna have that for actually we're going to talk about that in a few minutes as well. Chief Axel's here. Nakib, a legend himself with the bro protocol. Shout out to Nakib. Mice Elf is here. Ordinal's Tweets is here. What happened to your brother, bro? I see Ordinal's Tweets twice. I think you messed up. But where's Ordinal's Tweets and Ordinal's? What's the other one? Ordinal. Something.
Chips,
What's it?
ordinal chips.
Ordinal chips. Mike's Elf is here. Mr. Sheedy, shout out to our guy.
Yo,
He's like, "What's up, guys? Hope
Sheedy.
everyone is having a great Friday." Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Nabob is here. Anthony Paldino is here. He said, "Brooks, let's effing go, dog." Anthony also says, "Bro." Okay, so he fixes Brooks to bro. We have Mice Elf as always. We appreciate you, my friend. He says, "I can see dog hit 10 billion market cap by the end of the year." What's that? That's a 30x. That's pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
I would love that because then I think Billy might reach a Billy if that happens.
Yeah, and that's a 30x as well.
50. It's like a 55x
50x.
from where we are now. Yeah.
Woo! That would be lovely for a lot of hodlers of that for sure. But that is your roll call for today, guys. We really appreciate every single one of you guys. It means so much to us that you guys do the roll call. But guys, it is officially Friday. And it's officially 12 o'clock. And every Friday at 12 o'clock, we like to bring talk about our guys. Raul, that he's actually in Draper University out in San Francisco. So he's having a great time out there. But this guy, he was in Thailand, I think, not long ago. He's just all over the place. Like, where in the world is Raul? But right now they are in San Francisco for Draper University. Absolutely awesome. So we're going to cover a little bit of what Fluid is doing. And we hope you guys are really keeping up what Fluid is doing, because they had a tweet this morning, actually super early this morning, that basically read, where is it? Fluid. Okay. Are you ready to stake BTC on L1? It's happening. What do you think this means? Do you think Fluid's going to allow you to stake your Bitcoin and earn FLDT on L1?
That part is not as straightforward, obviously.
Yeah.
The first part is pretty straightforward. So you are going to be able to stake Bitcoin on layer 1, which to me is awesome. And it's non-custodial because it's going to be in one of your Bitcoin addresses if they take the same approach. But what are you going to be able to earn? FLDT, which to me is also bullish because this is an established Cardano token that, you know, is backed 1-to-1 with the Rune version of their token, right? So I imagine that's what they're going to offer up. But this is obviously like a TVL type of strategy, in my opinion, to show that, you know, Fluid has that strength in the Bitcoin ecosystem. I think it's a really smart move. You know, they are building constantly, and I'm excited for this. Because I want to partake.
And we do know they're potentially building an Arch. They're potentially building on Stacks. They're potentially building. They're definitely building on L1 and then Cardano, right? These guys are really kind of pushing their limits here. And we'll see what happens with Draper University, but we usually know what happens when someone graduates out of there. They come out of there with an investment. So we will see if that happens, which was going to allow them to actually do more, maybe hire some more devs and do a lot of cool stuff. So first, let's just check out app.fluidtokens.com, and that we're going to go to the Bitcoin version first. The staking vaults that are live right now are Omen. That's the only one alive. And as you can see, your stake, I got to connect my wallet here, and I'll connect my Xverse. I'll load up, and I'll probably have to put my password in. But guys, if you haven't claimed, if you guys haven't claimed your FLDT yet from staking your FLDT pass, I highly recommend you guys do that because it's just sitting there, and it was really cheap. It was only like a couple $. That when I claimed my reward, so I claimed this already. I don't know why it's still available to claim, but I claimed already, and you guys can actually, claim your dog in 24 days. So I have about $400,000 dog. That's about 20% APY. So I'm getting about 100,000 dog for free. So that is absolutely awesome. Really looking forward to taking that out and potentially staking it again and staking my passes as well. Maybe go get some more FLDTs. So definitely check out everything here at fluidtokens.com. But guys, they have a Cardano. Like, let's not be chain maxis.
Real quick before you move over to the Cardano side. So I got some notes from them as well. I know the claiming transaction on Fluid for staking is either they're aiming for 0 Bitcoin cost, or they're going to be or it's already implemented. So that it's either, if it's not implemented right now, that's something that's coming. And it says he actually says you actually makes a little bit on the when you claim. He said they're working on the BTC staking that you mentioned, and it's non-custodial like we talked about. So they're looking at somewhere around 5% APY on your Bitcoin. So that's that information there, and we can head over to the Cardano side.
Yeah, and he says, awesome. And we do know that Aquarium is around the corner. It's about a week or 2 weeks away, depending on the devs, right? They're deving it, and what that is, that's basically a way to bridge, right? They're gonna be bridging your Bitcoin assets or Bitcoin to Cardano and bridging Cardano assets to Bitcoin. That's gonna be a big deal because you're gonna be able to run a node or something like a node in the ecosystem, and you're basically gonna stake FLDT in that node, locking up FLDT, and you're gonna be able to, and those nodes are gonna verify the bridge, and it's gonna be phenomenal, guys. So this is definitely a token that you're going to want to at least take a look at. For me, I'm very bullish on it. So
yeah, and you have to imagine, the very first Cardano token is about to be listed on Kraken, a centralized exchange, very soon, called SNEC, and a lot of people know about it, right? It actually has, I believe, a little bit smaller market cap than Dog, but like the fact that Dog is going to be going back and forth, I imagine maybe SNEC will do that as well. We'll see, but the Cardano and Bitcoin ecosystem is going to be having like a free flow of liquidity back and forth, which is really cool in my opinion. And that could open the door as well to some of these top runes getting on Kraken as well. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, man, really bullish times for Fluid for sure. And I do want to take a look at the Cardano side real quick. So Cardano, they have a lot of different things over here: rentals, staking. So potentially, when I'm able to bridge my FLDT over, I might go over here and go to staking and actually stake it in this vault right here. So you got 3% liquidity and then 20%. That's very juicy, but it's closed for now. But I'm sure something's going to reopen soon, and you can earn dashboard rentals. What do you think rentals are? I mean, we definitely get Raul on the show and kind of explain the Cardano side of it, but
maybe you can rent to earn like APY or something for these assets, right? That's the first thing that comes to my mind. Is that you can you rent and then you earn based off of where you put it, or whatever available staking or something, and then you make a profit, right? So I don't know, that's just kind of my mentality. We definitely need to get a little bit deeper into it with him next time he's available.
For sure. And then Space Buds, you can lend out your Space Bud. It says FLDT for that one, 8 for this one. So yeah, really cool. I definitely want to get him to give us a full tutorial of this so we can kind of go over it. But really awesome what they're doing with Fluid. And guys, keep an eye on this tweet, man, because that's going to be absolutely massive. Stake your Bitcoin on L1.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's kind of get into the next thing here. Bell's Coin blockchain, 3 days till Bell's Coin's final halving on May 5th. So this is a tracker here that I have. It's looking like, dude, what's that? May 5th is Cinco de Mayo, but I think it's also on Sunday?
I think Cinco de Mayo is Saturday, dude. No, it's
Saturday.
not.
No,
that's the 3rd. Monday.
So it looks like, guys, your running time's running out for you to get your Bells pre-halving, because it's 4,733 blocks. It's about 3 days and probably like 4 hours, because I got this about 2 hours ago from this account. So time is running out here. Definitely check out. I don't know.
Do you think
they bullish or bearish?
You think they did that on purpose to have a celebratory margarita whenever this is the last epoch, right? This is a big deal. This is a big deal because no more halvings or epochs or the tokenomics are set at this point. Meaning, where are they right now? Let me see. In terms of total circulating supply, I imagine they're probably around 60 million. But let's see here. But
the only problem, though, is markets are forward looking. Now there's nothing to look forward to.
But they can create a narrative, right? It's all dependent upon these devs that are going to be really involved with Bell's Coin, the Nintendo team, the community. Can they be a scaling solution? Can they be a scaling solution for Doge? Can they be a scaling solution for Bitcoin? How can they possibly work for Fractal, these other UTXO chains? Maybe they can do something with Cardano, who knows? But they're gonna have to figure that part out. The total actual supply right now is 59.63 million, so right at 60, like I said. So they got 3 days left. How much more is going to come in? Not much, probably. So then after that, after it gets locked in, let's say we were at like 61 million or something, right? Now at that point, it's going to be spread out over a year. For every year afterwards, it's going to be 1 million tokens emitted per year. So that's a big difference. So now you're talking about getting to 70 million is going to take 10 years. So if they're able to create a big narrative for bells, they can create demand that can really push the bells price. There's an opportunity for it, but it's not easy. It's not the easiest thing to create like a strong narrative, right? But they have the memeability for sure, and they have their own chain. So we'll see.
Yeah, 100%. Really curious to see what happens. A listing is going to have to happen, like a bigger listing, but we could see that. We could definitely see momentum come for bells, because we do know that there's going to be a proof of work cycle here, and bells and Litecoin might be involved. So we'll see. We will see. All right, let's kind of get into the next thing here. Virtuals. So this is a tweet from them. So yesterday we checked out the site, right? And then a few hours after we talked about it, they came out with a couple of upgrades. The upgrades are actually significant because it's going to actually kind of push you towards hodling the tokens that you're actually bidding for, I guess you would say. But let's take a look at the Genesis update here. So Genesis update, Diamond Hand bonus plus take profit cooldown live. So today we are rolling out two major features in Genesis launch: design and reward strong hands and keep the system fair for all players. One, Diamond Hand bonus. Hodl your Genesis tokens. That's the new launch pad they have. That's the Genesis launch pad. So if you hodl those tokens, you earn free points. Every 24 hours, you stay strong. Bonus points are unlocked for you. Bonuses must be claimed manually. Claim within 24 hours. The longer you hodl, the more you earn. So that's a benefit, because you need those points to do other Genesis stuff. So there is a take profit cooldown. Winning too hard, time for a quick cooldown. Trigger. Taking profit when your Genesis allocation activates a cooldown. Recovery. Points steadily recover throughout the cooldown period. Cooldowns are a natural part of the game, keeping the system fair while letting long-term players continue building momentum. What do you think that means? Cooldowns. Like, so winning too hard, are they forcing you to sell, or are they forcing you not to sell? It's really confusing.
Taking profit on your Genesis allocation activates a cooldown. Recovery points. So basically they're not necessarily forcing you to sell, but I think like if you do a cooldown, then you get like a bonus of the points. I'm
Okay.
assuming, right? Because you can't force someone to sell, right? But they're trying to incentivize it, right? So take profit cooldown, which to me is interesting. I mean, I really do like this. The fact that they are trying to make it more, less super degen, more fair in a sense, I guess, a little bit, right? But at the end of the day, it's like, is this what I'm investing in, or like I'm pouring into? Is it gonna have a future? I don't know. Is this just a game, a new style of game that they have, or you know what I mean? So
yeah, I agree. I think, it's awesome that they're trying different things, right? If this don't work, you can scrap it, right? But take profit cooldown. Maybe I can press, like, you definitely want to get the people who got in super early at least down a little bit. You don't want them holding, because that's what stops people from getting in. When you look over and be like, oh, this guy has 8% of the supply, no chance, right? So maybe that's what they're kind of getting to. I don't know. We'll have to dig more into it. I'll actually play with it and kind of see what is going on. But someone asked, does the cooldown prevent you from getting yapping points? Cooldown only applies to Genesis. Yeah, I don't know what kind of question is that. I don't know why I read that. But yeah, I thought it was something else. But yeah, man. So definitely interesting. All right, let's jump into the next thing here. So Pump Fun has deposited 105,000 SOL, $15 million to Kraken again. So far, Pump Fun has deposited 3.2 million SOL, worth $591 million to Kraken at $185, and sold 264,000 SOL for $41 million USDC at $158. So Pump Fun's doing what Pump Fun does. They are using Kraken as their custodian for their SOL. Do you think Kraken should be worried about all these do you think Pump Fun should be worried about all these launch pads kind of popping off right now? I mean, do you think they should anything be worried about? Because they're sitting on $500 million, right, in Solana.
No, are you kidding me? Like, the founders could just move to freaking Tahiti or Fiji and just like enjoy the rest of their life and just not live in one place, just like travel for the rest of their lives. How much more money do you need You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they've hit, like they could go do something that's more. But look, if they're this, you know, if they have a greed bug in them, and to where they're just like, we want more, I want more, I want more. Of course, like, you know, from a business perspective, competition's coming in, and I like what the
Yeah.
competition that's coming in and what they're doing. I like the boop thing. I like the stuff that's gonna make people look bad if they just dump on people. I like the kind of stuff that's more giving people a little bit more of a safe haven to go into versus the pump fund, to where there's literally, like, you know, maybe 2 to 4 or 5 groups that are controlling everything, and you got to get extremely lucky if you're not using these freaking, like, super advanced tools and all these things, right? So I do like the way the direction it's going in. I hope to see it continually go in that way, and there will always be the gamble aspect of it. We had it last cycle too, but it was just not as aggressive, and they'll always be there. But in the end, I think more and more people will kind of get away from that and say, okay, that's for people that are just really high risky and all that stuff. So in the end, it doesn't matter. The competition is going to come. There's always going to be something new, better stuff like that.
Yeah.
Unless you're like Google, eventually we'll find our like Googles and those Amazons and stuff in our space. But right now we're trying to figure out what that even looks like. But yeah, so I think they're going to have competition that really presses them a bit.
It does feel like the competition is winning. I mean, they're incentivizing an airdrop, right? They're and stuff like that. Pump Fund has never said anything about an airdrop. Do you think Pump Fund's building something in the background, right? That's not a Pump Fund model. Maybe something you made all your money, and now you're going to go make something legit.
Possibly, right? I mean, they just like made so much. I don't even know if they can match what they've done, though. Even if it is like extremely legit, like they've made so much money to where it's like, what? How can you top that? Like, you know, it's kind of like a drug dealer that's like dominated the whole like state, you know. And then like he went to jail for like 5-10 years or whatever, and he's out and he's like, I want to go legit. And then now he's making like 2% of what he was making, right? I don't. That's obviously a pretty wild comparison there, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if
100%.
he could go like more to like a proper type of project, but maybe, I mean, he can't because he has enough money to sit on his hands and do whatever.
That's true, 100%. Yeah, I mean, you really could. They could really do anything, and or just really just kind of maybe become, you know, an investor. Maybe start investing in to a lot of these projects and stuff like that. Really kind of push the Solana ecosystem higher, right? And they're a huge holder of Solana, so it's like they're probably one of the top. I mean, Solana's what, $40 billion, $60 billion. They're not that big, right? So they're holding a good portion of Solana. So, all right, let's get into the next thing here, and I just want to make sure that I have everything up. But I want to give a quick Bittensor market update. You cool with that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so I've been doing a lot of research, and I found this really cool site. I'm not sure if you checked it out yet, but it's called Tal.app. And what it is, it basically gives you a full market cap of everything, total market cap of Tal, and everything else. So let's take a look. Chutes, man, has been running again. It's up to $107. It is number one, followed by was it PTR or something, sitting at 58, and then Targon at 51, Gardens at 44, Celium at 43. So what do you think about the Tal ecosystem right now? The daily hasn't really been great. The weekly hasn't been great because Tal has been rising. Very similar to what we seen the last time we looked at this, right? The last seven days haven't really been great for a lot of these Tal tokens, especially the ones with high prices. But you know, you see this one down 17%. So what do you think about the Tal ecosystem right now?
It's moving consistently. Yeah, maybe there's a little pullback for the week or whatever. I mean, it's showing Chutes is down 1.15% on the month. But I mean, whenever, like, I think we were like 2 weeks into Tal, the DTAL, the subnets alpha tokens launch, and we saw Chutes at like around, I would say 15 to 17 million, maybe. around there. And so if you got in there, you're at a 5x right now. Yeah, it's not huge, but this is before like a huge explosion for like alts or anything, right? So this could go really, really high. And then proprietary trading network, that has jumped up pretty aggressively. So you're seeing some of these other ones that were maybe like on page 2 or low bottom of page 1 start to jump up. Targen's always been that number 2, so that's kind of fallen back a little bit. But there's still a lot of opportunity ones in here. And Open Cato has been running recently. It looks like, you know, it's at 11-12 million. It was at 1 million. So right there you're at a 10x before anything blows up, right? So I'm just saying there's still a lot of opportunity over here. And you just got to kind of do your research. A lot of people will kind of trade these around a little bit and try to flip in and out because there's opportunity. There's still a lot of upside. And this is safer, obviously, in my opinion, than something like virtuals, because over here, you know, you have to pay money to start your subnet, right? Whether that's 50,000, 200,000, wherever you started at, you still have to pay to open it. So there's a lot of stuff over here. Red team there, and then you do your research and you start to realize, okay, there's big names behind this stuff. Like, was it Billy Siebert? I think his name is. He is big over there. He has a company called Yuma, I think. And it's like a what are they called? Accelerator. And like 4 or 5 of these projects, like not Sports Sensor, but Score, which is like a sports data AI framework. And you have Red Team that follows under there. That I think Red Team is more about like cloud security, which we know cloud security in Web 2 is humongous. There's so much money in cloud security. How's that transition over here, right? And then you have something like Precog. Precog is really big too, and it's at 1.33 million, and it's something that is a Bitcoin price predictor, right? But it uses so much data from like the best traders, and that falls under the Yuma kind of umbrella as well. So just do your research. We know that Fred Krueger, most of you guys that are in the Bitcoin ecosystem knows who he is, because he's he's been on X a lot. He went from like 18,000 followers to like 180,000. I think he might be higher now, but he just started his own subnet. So people are getting in there, and I think this is going to be an ecosystem that has a lot of opportunity, and it's going to be a lot bigger market caps at the end of this year than where we are right now.
Yeah, 100%. And the big news about that, they had an event this weekend, or last weekend, I'm sorry, and Mark Jeffrey was there, and it was in Austin, Texas. We do know that Jason Calacanis, one of the All In podcasts, he has a podcast that he runs that's called This Week in Startups. It's another one. He also has the All In podcast. But on this one, we had a friend of the show on. We had Mark Jeffrey. Mark Jeffrey was on there talking about Tau, and he basically called Tau. He said Tau is Bitcoin for AI. He said he believes that Tau is going to be the number 2 crypto in the entire ecosystem, right behind Bitcoin, because not only is it like Bitcoin, 21 million, it has the halving in December, as all the traits Bitcoin does, but instead of wasting the hash power that Bitcoin does, it's complete waste, right? It's just, you're just basically, and Mark Jeffrey actually said, when it's just like, you're digging in a gumball for a certain gumball, and when the first person to find the gumball wins the Bitcoin. But in Tau, you're actually producing, you're giving your energy to anything. I mean, you can be AI, it can be anything, but so you're actually giving your energy, the power that you're accumulating to give to try to earn Tau. You're actually giving that to a company, and that company can choose to do what they want with it. A lot of them are going to run AI with it. And he really blew Jason Calacanis away, because, originally him and Chamath got in super early to Tau. So I don't think he really understood what he had until now. So.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's an exciting emerging ecosystem. And I think it was dormant for a long time in terms of the rest of the space paying attention to it. Just the people that were diehards knew what was going on, but now it's starting to get more mainstream. And I think that's like perfect setup for what Mark was talking about, like getting into that number 2 spot. It's got some ways to go, obviously, right now, but the potential is completely there. I agree with him on that.
Yeah, AI and crypto are like a match made in heaven, right? Like, especially when you're mining for coins, you can take that energy now and use that compute for AI. We do know that AI needs a crap load of compute. I mean, I think it was the guy from from ChatGPT, the CEO there. He said that it costs the company $2 million a month for thank yous and please. So when you say please or thank you to ChatGPT, it actually loses the company money because it has to answer. It has to go and use that compute to answer. So using something like Tau or one of these subnets or having your own subnet could be absolutely huge for you because you're actually you're kind of crowdfunding the compute. So everyone else is paying for it, and you're kind of getting that compute to use, and they're being given the alpha tokens or Tau, wrap Tau. But we'll see. Yeah, man. All right, we're getting ready for our guy Jake here. He's gonna be hopping in any minute.
You want to hit on the rune market caps, see what's going on there?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it. Let's jump over to Magic Eden.io and get a kind of look at see what is happening on the ordinals and rune sides of things. How's things looking?
Dog is going on a runner again. It's at $304 million market cap. There's 25 pending. So yeah, Dog is got to lead the way, right? In terms of getting listed on a centralized exchange, and then kind of getting to pass back over that $1 billion market cap. But the fact that it's still like it when it pulls back to like 295, 290 at the lowest, and then it comes back over 300. So it's moving forward with little steps back, and continually moving forward with little steps back. And I think once it shows that new kind of area of the momentum of this local high, like let's get to 350, then we'll start to see some of these other ones get to some local highs as well. Maybe Billy can get to 30 million, or Magic Internet Money has been kind of weak, honestly, the past week and a half, 2 weeks. It's barely been just like Dog and Billy kind of ranging back and forth. And then this weird one, if anybody knows what Nikola Tesla God who launched that, what the project is about, is a complete meme coin, let us know in the chat, guys, because I'm curious to learn more about that one. But yeah, so
I kind of want to see the holders and from Luminex. Maybe that could show us what's going on over there, because it could be one of those coins that's held by a good portion. But yeah, I just don't know. We'll have to look into that. But why do you think some of these other coins are getting beaten up on the daily here? Billy down 10%, Magic Eden down 10%. I'm sorry, Magic Internet Money down 10%, Gizmo down 16%. Why do you think some of these are really taking a hit while Dog's going up? Do you think money is coming out of these and going into Dog?
No, I think some people are taking profit that might have recently got into at like 7 million. Like, you have to remember, Billy was at like 5 to 7 million like 3 weeks ago, right? And then it got all the way up to, I think, like 22 million or something, I think was the recent local high. And then Pops has kind of been ranging, and so I think they're kind of waiting. They're like, okay, it's about to take off, and then they see Dog kind of stall out a little bit, and they're like, okay, maybe not yet. They got in at 7 to 10 million. That's a 2x. Once Billy's at 20 million, people could put in $5,000. You turn that into 10. That's a quick $5,000 that you made in a week or whatever, a week and a half, right? So that I know that some of that's happening. Also, maybe they're seeing some other opportunities as well, and they don't want to wait. That's why I'm saying Dog is really going to lead this time. And I know last Q4, actually Billy led it. If you remember, Billy was the one that really started, and then Dog started to get aggressive again. But I do truly think Dog's going to lead this one, and then some of the other ones will catch up. But we got to see something like impressive. We got to break 500 million first milestone, I think, for big milestone to re-break, and then obviously the $1 billion one is the big one, right? But we probably don't see that until Bitcoin's at a certain market cap, right? Or sorry, price. And so as of right now, it's just kind of saying, okay, we're moving forward, but it's not go time yet. We're just know what direction we're heading in. That's the feeling I get. I don't know about you. What do you think?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, dog's definitely going to lead the way. What leads dog is Bitcoin, right? We need Bitcoin to kind of really kind of do its thing here. So, like, let's just say Bitcoin does rip. Let's just say we get to 110 next week, right? Like maybe we hit the all-time high and come back down. Does do these coins run with Bitcoin, or do they wait for Bitcoin to cool down? What are you thinking in that aspect? Because that's kind of where I'm kind of sitting. I'm just thinking in my head. You have to buy these tokens with Bitcoin, right? Like that's how you do. You have to sell your Bitcoin to buy these tokens. So what do you think? Do we run with Bitcoin, or do we have to wait for Bitcoin to cool off before we run?
So this is a great point because typically you're right. We do. Um, Once the Magic Eden integration with Slingshot happens, though, you're going to be able
Yeah.
to use USD. You're going to be
Yes.
able to use Solana. You're going to be able to use
Yep.
Ethereum. You're going to be able to use whatever you want to buy dog. And I think that's why we could run at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's say until that happens, though, let's say Bitcoin gets aggressive, we get to 105,000. Let's just say by Sunday. Hypothetically, that's not going to happen,
Yeah.
but say that happens. I think we do kind of what we've been doing, inching forward with like very minimal back, and then continually inching forward until we get to this point to where it's go time. Whether that's like Bitcoin has gotten to a new all-time high and it stalls for a little bit, and then you have the Slingshot added. You can buy with any denomination or whatever of crypto, because I do think that's going to make a difference if the Slingshot integration is big like we hope. I think that would make a big difference, and we'll see too, because Odin's also going to be adding the option to purchase with Solana too, and they're going to be integrating dog very soon. So there's a lot of catalysts with runes coming up in the next, I would say, 3 months. In the next 3 months, a lot of catalysts coming up. You have Arch that says that they're going to be launching in June. That means Saturn's been very smooth. A lot of liquidity is probably going to go into that. Then you have Slingshot. You can buy with anything. And then who knows if any other of these smart wallets start to pick up, something like Tokyo Wallet, if that catches with runes, you can use Apple Pay, Google Pay, to purchase these items. This is gonna be interesting.
Now with Slingshot, do you think that Magic Eden is going to have a function on Magic Eden's site to where it'll allow you to buy with your credit card as well? Because all they got to do, it's just you're buying technically through Slingshot, but maybe you have something up here that says buy with credit card, like click dog, buy with credit card. What do you think?
I think that would be awesome if that's the case. Yeah, that would be very awesome, right? And do I think it's going to happen? I don't know. I just hope I hope it leads up to it leads up to our expectations of it, right? Because like there's been a lot of like promise and stuff for runes infrastructure, and we've seen some stuff that's okay lately, okay, better than what we've gotten in the past for sure. Whether that's Odin kind of scaling with the scaling environment with the ICP tech stack, or Funky Bit's not really gotten momentum because Arch hasn't launched, but it's better than what we've had in the past, right? And so if Slingshot can really provide this good user experience, the same way you can buy dog with hat on Slingshot, you can buy dog, you can buy Billy, you can buy Magic Internet Money. I understand if they don't want to include something like Mr. Yen, businessman, because not much, there's not much volume there, right? So the stuff that has that consistent volume, you better be able to buy it the same way you can buy dog with hat. If not, what the hell's the point?
Yeah, couldn't agree more. What just kind of we're waiting for that Slingshot rollout and see what it looks like, but really awesome. But guys, it is 12:30 on a Friday, and every Friday around 12:30 we have our good friend Jake Gallen on from Emblem Vault. Emblem Vault, they're building some pretty amazing things. Not only are they building Agent Hustle, which I mean I can't imagine how much stress building something like him is, but he's been phenomenal. He's been absolutely awesome. But they're also building a jumping system where you're gonna be able to jump your ordinals, jump your assets to other chains, right? You're gonna be able to jump, let's just say CryptoPunks to Bitcoin, putting on the strongest chain ever, locking them in an Emblem vault, and actually having a receipt to that vault over here. It's gonna be really awesome, guys. Really excited for that feature. But I mean, the AI XBT, right, was just hanging out with Hustle. So we're gonna learn all about that. And without further ado, let's bring up Jake. Jake, welcome back to OnChain Revolution.
Dude, what's good, guys, man? Yeah, it's been 2 weeks since I've been on here after Yago was on vacation. So Good to see you guys. And also, I was listening to the show right before this. Also, super excited for Arch Network. I think that's going to have a huge impact on the Bitcoin ecosystem. And from the Emblem side, we are migrating our token to keys on runes, and Arch was actually kind of in that initial thesis that they would potentially be one of the main places to trade runes and create a more efficient experience. So it does seem like a lot of people in the ecosystem are betting large on Arch being on top, as well as investors are now after their recent raise.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, one fund literally went all in and said, "Hey, we're gonna fund the top projects over here. If you guys, if speaking to builders, if you're interested, then come over here and show us what you got." So to me, that's a really vote of confidence from DPI, and having Dan held kind of behind in that entity is also a big name that came on board there. But speaking of runes and stuff like that, we're gonna get into what you guys have with your TGE coming up later and all that stuff, and with Hustle, all that great stuff. I want to know real quick, because you have a lot of experience in the Bitcoin ecosystem and in crypto in general. What do you think about this drama from Bitcoin Core and the laser eyes with the op return lifting the data storage limits? I feel like it's not as big as they're making it to be, but maybe I'm wrong. Do you have any insight on that? And do you view it as good or bad?
It's honestly just more of the same. I mean, Bitcoin's largest centrality point has always been Bitcoin Core and the devs, and they're basically just saying that we don't care what you say. Like, we're not going to make the change, even though people are still kind of circumventing different rule sets, right, to get their data placed into Bitcoin, whether it's through Taproot or through these like side pools or kind of whatever the case is. I don't think they're going to remove it, to be honest, but maybe that's a conversation for 5 years down the road when there's a lot more influence on Bitcoin than just Bitcoin Core, and they can kind of get pressured out of making this change or adding different people to the repo or kind of whatever the case is. But it's the same conversation that happened 10 years ago when op return was first utilized and counterparty. It's the same exact thing now, just more eyes. And to me, it's kind of just a nothing burger. It's like just more of the same.
Gotcha. Do you think this argument like bleeds out into any other parts, and possibly this could be detrimental to what all the Bitcoin builders are doing, like what we're doing here? They say they want to take it further, like the Samson Mows and Adam Backs and stuff. Or do you think this is strictly about this limitation lift, and where everybody else is fine that's building the way they're building now?
So we actually just had Raphael Lavarde, who's been talking about Bitcoin for over 10 years at this point. They said that, this kind of debate gets at the heart of the big blockers versus small blockers. It's a lot of the conversation that happened in 2017, but kind of in a different form, where if you remove the data size limit to op return, then this opens the door up for more big block type technologies, right? More opcodes, etc., coming down the road, which I think is an inevitability at this point. And so it's kind of just the old guard still holding on before that change does happen. It's essentially kind of saying like the big blockers are right in some sense, which I do think I was going to put a thread about this later, but it seems like the scale of the layer 1 blockchain seems to be the right path. And I think Solana's kind of really shown that, because now Ethereum is basically backtracking and saying we're going to scale the L1 after really holding firm for 5 years. And moving arbitrary limit on Bitcoin essentially is kind of the same idea, just in a different way of saying, you have to scale the layer 1 before the layer 2s. So it is a little bit of, saying that the last 10 years of building, or maybe the last 8 years of building on Bitcoin for Lightning and all these other things, have basically been largely a failed experience, and that we should go back to kind of rethinking the different options of scaling Bitcoin.
Do you know if this is technically a hard fork? 'Cause I was looking into it a little bit, and I'm having trouble thinking.
It's not a hard fork.
It's not a hard fork, so it'll be a very soft fork.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, you're just I guess it's a soft fork. I don't even know if you'd call it a soft fork. It's just kind of an update to Bitcoin itself. You're just moving. Yeah, you're just removing a limit, so it's just a merge within the repo itself because the opcode already exists. So you're not adding an opcode, so that's not a fork. You're just changing a limitation on the opcode itself. I mean, I could be wrong, but my understanding was if you're changing the block size limit or if you're adding or removing an opcode, there's a fork in there. But if you're just changing, a point or just an aspect of something that already exists, then it's just kind of a merge into the PR. It's just like an upgrade, I guess.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. When I was talking to ChatGPT was like, at first it told me it was a hard fork, and then it gave me reasons why it would be a soft fork. So it wasn't really too sure because there was so many different. So I'm guessing the guy Todd or whatever, his proposal was a little different than some other proposals that are in this as well.
Yeah, I mean, kind of my theory, and I put this post out when I did my 25 predictions for 2025, and one of them was that TradFi is going to back OpCat, and it's just this whole theory of just saying that the new party or traditional finance, who's essentially the new money that's coming into the space, is going to want to scale Bitcoin in some way, and I don't think they're completely there yet of understanding the ramifications, but with ordinals continuing, to grow and runes and all these other meta protocols, right? You have alkanes, and I've actually seen a few slides of new execution environments like Arch that are getting funded and coming online soon. Like there's going to be some point of contention where people are going to want more users on Bitcoin because Bitcoin's going to get to 200K or whatever it is, and it'll stall out for a while. And the people who've bought Bitcoin that high are going to be like, oh, we need to be able to get this price higher somehow. And new users on the network, right, means price goes higher. And so just a lot of the new money is going to want some sort of scaling aspect to it. Maybe that kind of thought of TradFi backing OpCat or OpCTV or whatever it is maybe, a few years too early. But I think eventually you're going to see some sort of, I guess you'd call it another culture war on it, but it's going to be basically the Bitcoin core devs versus everybody else, which at some point they're not going to be able to just hold off their kind of philosophical or ideological views when the rest of the world wants something else.
Yeah. Well, it's already happening because Peter Todd is the one that put the pull request in to remove the limitations because supposedly Citria, which is utilizing BitVM, it makes it a lot easier for them because they want to use something that needs to store 100 bytes, and right now the limitation is 80. So they're actually having to put the remaining 20 into an output that actually bloats UTXO set, right? So it's messy and all that stuff, but I didn't want to spend too much time on it. I know that could get boring for the audience, but I was curious about your opinion, and I appreciate you breaking that down. But let's get into something more exciting, which is AI and Agent Hustle, and maybe you can update us because it looks like he's made some friends with some other AI agents. One of them being one of the most popular AI agent and AI XBT. Could you talk about how that relationship started and how you guys ended up partnering?
You know how we work. I mean, Adam and myself, we're very friendly. We reach out to all the teams. The majority of teams are not as friendly as us, so they kind of just don't respond, or they see us reaching out as more of, an attack vector or competition. When really, it's like for us, it's like, hey, if you build together, you amplify both protocols. And it seems like users mostly like that, or some people like to draw a line in the sand and box them out and not do these type of partnerships. So we'd reach out to tons of teams, and AI XBT is one of them that we just maintain a relationship with. And so once they announced that their API services were ready in private testing and that they were going to start adding a select amount of individuals, Emblem was one of those teams. And we integrated it. And I think we're first to market in terms of these different types of collaborations. They said that there's a handful of others that are also in the works, but we were just fastest and quickest to do it. And so it's pretty exciting. For us, it just shows that, you can integrate any type of agentic software into Hustle and then have him interact with it. And that's kind of the experience that we'd like to give all of our users on the platform, as well as it's a good branding opportunity for AI XBT, and they get some market data on to see how these kind of partnerships will work out. Because at the end of the day, when you're building B2B services, right? In this case, it's API service. We're also building an SDK and an MCP, which Shannon actually tweeted out last night that he built a headless called Headless Agent Hustle. So this means that any company can come in and just build their own white label Agent Hustle. You don't really know how people are going to use it. You can have these kind of discussions on what you think is the best way for a business to use your API services or MCP server. But at the end of the day, it's kind of really under their own discretion. And I think it worked out well for both parties here. And we've reached out to a handful of other teams we're in discussions with to try to build, a similar kind of AI XBT integration where they get basically their own mini app within Agent Hustle. And they get the branding experience. The users of Agent Hustle get to use their product more. To me, it seems like just like a net positive overall. So yeah, excited how it turned out. The community seems to like it. Didn't really have too much of an impact on the value of the token, but over time, I suspect that will change.
Yeah, I'm curious with this headless hustle. I do love that name for some reason, but yeah, headless hustle. Is there anything that could, like, let's just say I purchased, I came in with you guys, I got my own headless hustle, I named them Shizzy. Is there anything that I could do that could mess up the OG hustle?
No.
Okay.
No, it's a API service essentially, and there's an SDK, so there's multiple APIs and there's tooling, and we've had, I don't know, there's really probably 5 to 10 serious teams who've reached out that want to use it. Some of them are just individual creators. Others are actually like very large teams that are doing millions of dollars of volume, and the requests are kind of varied. Some people want to put Hustle into a Discord to test how they interact with other agents. Some people want to use Hustle's analytics to tie into their kind of trenching tools, right, for discovering tokens. Some users want to use Hustle and all of the features of the swapping and the LP and et cetera to integrate into their platform to incentivize their users to do things with the tokens in their ecosystem so that they don't have to manage all of the backend kind of stuff. And so we've had to build it in this way where if you're building an AI suite to where basically they can plug in their own hustle, but they could brand it any way that they want, you have to think about the costs, right? There's inference costs, there's API costs, right? There's obviously brand value that goes along with it. But I do think that there's a very large opportunity in the AI space, which it doesn't seem like many people are pursuing, which is this idea of being, a universal router for AI services. And what I mean by this is when you look across the crypto landscape, there's maybe 5 protocols that really run the entire thing, which a lot of people don't really realize. But on Ethereum, for swaps, everything is routed through Uniswap. It's called the Uniswap router. So all the liquidity flows all aggregated through there. And Uniswap gets a bottom line percentage off of all of that. When you look at the NFT space on Ethereum, OpenSea and Seaport runs everything. Every single marketplace runs on Seaport, runs on the order flow, the liquidity, the trading, and OpenSea basically commands that. That's why I always laugh when people say OpenSea is going to go away. I'm like, well, if OpenSea goes away, then the entire NFT marketplace, the NFT market just implodes outside of CryptoPunks because they have their own marketplace. When you look at
so real quick, so Magic Eden also uses their
Seaport. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they use Seaport. Everyone uses Seaport. Blur, even the funny part of the Blur Wars was Blur was using Seaport when they were kind of like vampire attacking Magic Eden, and then there was this like game of Blur not doing royalties, but then OpenSea had royalties. So then OpenSea put in this royalty filter, but then Blur found a way in Seaport to basically block Seaport from that. And it was just like this game of kind of cat and mouse. And when you look, the two kind of final examples here is when you look at data aggregation, Chainlink basically routes all off-chain information into not just Ethereum anymore, but also to other chains as well, where they offer support, right? They have the Chainlink Oracle. And so everyone uses Chainlink for, randomness, on-chain randomness, and pulling information that's off-chain, whether it's, stock prices or kind of whatever that is. And then on Solana, everything runs off of Jupiter. Literally, like almost every single swap thing, like half of Agent Hustle runs on Jupiter, right? Most of these platforms run on Jupiter services. And so Jupiter basically doesn't care how you spin it, right? Jupiter doesn't care that we've branded everything as Agent Hustle for the swaps and stuff, or for the LPs, right? Like Radium doesn't care that we've branded it as Agent Hustle LP because, we're using their services. And at the end of the day, it goes back to their system and the value. They can move the value however they want. So there's an opportunity in AI to do the same thing, where everyone's basically using your AI service and they can brand it however they want. And so we've identified this and we're definitely pursuing it. And there seems to be an appetite for it. The only other teams I've even seen mention anything is Wayfinder have said that they have an API service that they're going to launch in July, I guess. But outside of that, I really haven't seen anything. So we're going to move forward with that. We'll see how it goes. And to me, just like an insane opportunity.
Yeah, dude, like that's where you that's where passive income channels come from, right? And now that you say that, there's actually opportunities in the Bitcoin ecosystem for something like this. And I think like Maestro is trying to be that one of those services, maybe beyond as well. But like I know Maestro is doing that similar thing.
I did just reach out to, I forget what the founder's name of Maestro is. I was Marvin. I reached out to him and I was looking at their services for when we move Hustle over to Bitcoin. They seem to have the most complex API services for UTXO sets. So I think there will probably be some sort of usage or partnership there. And I realized they're powering Arch as well, which I didn't realize until I was looking through their docs.
We love those guys. We had them on for I think Arch Thursday or something, and we had a call with them. They're phenomenal. Those guys over there. They're actually Cardano devs, which is funny. Came over from Cardano.
I mean, UTXO is starting to become a lot more popular, or at least people are starting to understand it more. And you could definitely give credit to Ordinals for kind of kicking that can down and having people really look under the hood to see the empowerment of UTXO. But yeah, you are right. And for us, I haven't seen any other AI project that is really looking into Bitcoin. I've seen a few kind of like single service kind of things or a few kind of startup attempts, but nothing as far as like a generalized DeFi AI platform as Hustle. And we also have the experience in the community, right? Because Emblem Vault is majority Bitcoin NFTs that are trading. So of the 25,000 holders, you could probably say that 15,000 or 20,000 of those wallets are like Bitcoin native people. And so when you move over to Hustle on Bitcoin, you kind of start thinking about like, what does the Bitcoin ecosystem need in terms of AI, right? There's a lot of kind of automation and aggregation that you could do. There's a lot of arbitrage as well, kind of the simple things. But also there's a lot of kind of unexplored opportunity there. And if Arch really does take off, right, you could go in and integrate a lot of, I guess, like Saturn Swap and all of these other ones. And it would be just much more similar to a smart contract like experience. But with AI on Ethereum, it seems like there's a lot of projects that start on EVM because it's simple, right? There's a lot more tooling for it. But I don't see a lot of people using AI on EVM. Most people who are using DeFi tooling with AI is mostly on Solana. There's just really not that much. So for us, it's like, we start on Solana, which was the hardest to do. We'll move over to Bitcoin, which is also really hard to do, but we think we have the experience to be able to do that. And then we'll come to Ethereum later. It's just, there's maybe one or two applications on ETH right now that are any sort of interest, like Polymarket.
Yeah, and Arch should actually be a really easy integration for you guys because Arch VM is very similar to SVM. Apparently, they both fork the same there's another thing where Solana forked it, and then Arch actually just forked that as well. That's kind of what I got from it. I don't know how true that is, but we'll kind of see. Potentially, it could be really easy for you guys to integrate Arch instead of just going the full hard route and doing UTXO. If Arch is up and running by the time you guys are ready, would you kind of maybe skip over the, going full the UTXO route and kind of maybe go full Arch instead? Because it's the same assets.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's going wherever the liquidity in the market tells us. Like I've made this mistake a few times in my earlier building years, but we have a small and lean team, and so we have to make very strategical decisions on where we dedicate our attention to. Right now, the attention's on Solana. Wherever it is on Bitcoin, we'll build there first, whether it's own fund in ICP or it's Arch or it's just at that point just the native market trading with like on Magic Eden, kind of like you see. But our kind of roadmap with Hustle is we'll have this B2B service live here hopefully in the next week or two. We're working on integrating basically all of the ulterior LP services. So the devs are working on Meteora, Whirlpool, and PumpSwap. And then we're going to launch our new business model as well, which will likely be a combination of a subscription service and some tokenomics to begin. And then from there, we have kind of a few decisions to make, whether we want to add perps into Agent Hustle, right? So you can trade, go long or short Solana. There's options. Radium had reached out to us to integrate Launch Labs, which is kind of their new pump fund competitor for pre-bonded kind of solutions. And then after that, we're going to make a really hard decision on whether we want to move over and start building out Bitcoin, or if we're going to finish our Telegram bot, Hustle bot, and launch that first. So both of those have pros and cons. Like if we move over to Bitcoin, we believe that probably onboards more users than the Telegram bot, but the Telegram bot probably increases more volume to the platform itself. And so you kind of, if you're a builder, you kind of have to put these goals and roadmaps out, but you can't stick to it. You have to be able to, move and make decisions based off of where the market is, because this industry is just always changing.
Yeah, if runes are flying, then it kind of gives you that idea. Maybe alkanes are pumping. Let's go that route, right? Or Arch is doing so much, numbers are huge. Go that route. So it really depends on where the market is when you guys make that decision.
Yeah, Alex did reach out to me actually about integrating alkanes into Hustle. They probably have the best tooling of any meta protocol, right? Because they've been building. They've been building services for 2 years at this point, right? And so, we had talked with them 2 years ago when they had first launched, and they have node services, they have RPCs, they have SDKs, like they have a full suite. So I think integrating alkanes actually won't be that difficult because they have pretty easy tooling. It just depends if the market is still interested in it when the time comes 2 months from now, right?
Well, I want to revisit something you said. You said perps, right? And so if that's integrated, whether it's through Jupiter or whoever, is that going to come with the conditional style trading to where, hey, find me a position with this pullback, I want to sell with this percentage gain? Or would it be just more, take this position for me?
Yeah. So this is actually an interesting experience, or I guess you could say interesting dilemma as I've begun building this, because the best way to look at it is there's two separate things when it comes to these when it comes to Hustle per se. You have the crypto integrations, and then you have the AI. And so the AI does some things and the protocol does some things. So when you're integrating something like perps, you're going to first look, if you're a builder, there's kind of a few options. There's we either take the time, if we have a large team, and we just build it ourselves so that we can, we can be the only fee taker on that. On the other side of that, it's you go look for services that have perps. We'll use perps in this example. So on Solana, there's, from what I've seen, Jupiter and Drift Protocol are the top 2 perps APIs. So you go in, you have to basically build the new front end, you take the APIs, you kind of build out the service, and then you have to integrate it on the Hustle side. We then integrate it into Agent Hustle to see, so you could do kind of prompting, or you could do perp trading through prompts itself. And then on the Agent Hustle side, then it's, okay, how does he interact with the service that then is being offered, right? Because if you haven't built it, then you're basically you're stuck with whatever kind of rule set that they've done. And we haven't finished the automated trading yet, but we are getting close. We actually started building a copy trade service, and we've got it up, we've got it ready, but our service provider for nodes and for webhooks and some of the other service in database has kind of fallen behind. So we're kind of just waiting on them, but we have the infrastructure ready. And when the automated's ready, you know, it's kind of a TBD, to be completely honest. Like, some people can say that they know exactly how, you know, their automated services are. I saw that Hanon is building an automated service, and Wayfinder has mentioned they're going to do it as well. You know, these teams can say that they know exactly how this is going to turn out, but the thing about AI is that you have no idea what the output's going to be. You can kind of measure the inputs, but the outputs are kind of unpredictable, but you can kind of refine it to where you hope for it to go one way. So it is a little bit of a question mark on how it will go. So far, everything's been pretty well to the degree of what we wanted to do, but you know, I'm excited for it. Like, to me, that's kind of, it's kind of like the gold rush in the sense where you don't know how much gold is there, but you're just running in that direction, and you're bringing whatever tools that you have to hopefully kind of dig up as much as possible.
Yeah. And that's just the bumps and bruises, I think, of something that's innovative going into a new kind of thing, to where I'm sure 6 months down the road, a year down the road, your conditional trading is going to be smoother. And as time goes on, it'll just get better and better. So this is normal.
Yeah. So we also made like a shift on our media strategy as well. So we're just basically moving more into AI, as it seems like the Bitcoin media and commentary seems to be a little saturated, or it's just kind of divulged into everyone kind of just talking about personalities and not about product, which is always, you know, it's always when it's time to say, all right, time to move on something else. So we have like a whole month scheduled with different types of AI founders, as well as we've been doing our live streams. Yesterday, Billy Betts the team showed up just randomly on the show. So we're like talking with them on how to build a Billy Betts, you know, integration into Agent Hustle. And then you have the kind of automated tooling that'll be tapped on top of that, which is, you know, really, really interesting. It actually just got an update. It looks like Shannon's ready to push our headless hustle into the staging area. So it means like it's moving from his terminal for us to start testing. So looks like that'll actually be live really soon then.
Is Shannon a group of people or is it one guy?
Shannon is the AI.
You know, we always made this joke when I joined the company 2 years ago. We were like, dude, we need 10 Shannons and we'll be fucking cooking. And then as AI's evolved, it's like we actually have like multiple. So he actually does work with 2 separate stations now, where he has he has AI on each of these workstations. So there's like kind of 2 of them now. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, this guy's a fucking animal. He's always been our unicorn. I still, to this day, I mean, I said this 3 years ago when I joined the team, but he's the most creative developer in the industry because he has, you know, I guess now 13 years of crypto experience developing and you know, 2 decades of building bots and AI type technologies. And so he's just so far ahead of the game. He has the output of like 10 developers. It's kind of crazy. I mean, you look at Agent Hustle versus Hanon, right? They have 16 developers and we have 2 developers working on Agent Hustle. We have 4 developers on Emblem, but 2 of them are focused on Shannon, and 1 other is focused on just Agent Hustle. And we're probably developing at about, you know, 60% rate of what 16 developers at Hanon are doing.
Wow.
So yeah, it just shows really just like how important he is and how far ahead of the game he is comparative to most people in the space.
Now I'm just picturing him with like a computer over here and a computer over there and like a conveyor that just takes some over. All right, time to go work on those other.
If you guys come to Vegas, you'll meet him, man. We'll have the whole Emblem team down in Vegas again.
Nice.
Yeah, man, that would be absolutely awesome. I kind of want to take it back a little bit. You mentioned you guys doing something with AI XBT, but you didn't actually say what is it. Can you talk about that? Is that something that you can talk about?
Yeah. So essentially, it's just kind of an alpha terminal. So what I mean by that is when we got the APIs from AI XBT, we had to figure out, first, what's the best way to brand this? What does the data do? And how does this, and what's the best use case for it for our users? So what the API is for AI XBT is essentially their terminal. It's all of his kind of tweets and longer form thoughts and something they're building called a momentum graph, which is not live yet. And so we basically just created this alpha terminal where it's just literally all of his tweets and all of his long form. Some of that's public, some of that's private within their paid terminal. And so you could go in there and just see all of it in kind of one use. And then we took the API and we put that API inside of our, I guess you could call it analysis toolbox. So you could go into Agent Hustle and say, give me alpha on Solana. And so Agent Hustle will go into this analysis toolbox and he'll pull the token information from Bird Eye. He'll pull the social stuff from Lunar Crush. He'll now pull what we call alpha. He'll pull the alpha, which is kind of just like news and theses into Solana. And then he'll pull from holder scan on holder analytics. He'll pull from rug check for rug check and a handful of these other ones. And then he'll just literally put it all out in a giant thesis of kind of the information that you get back. And a lot of people really like that. So it's not just AI XBT information. When you're asking for information, you get like kind of like 10 different services. But if you want to be able to isolate that just to see what AI XBT is doing, and if you don't want to go through his Twitter feed or you don't have access to his terminal, you just go into the Alpha terminal or the Alpha Mini app within Agent Hustle, and you get all of that information literally right there in one place.
So you're basically data dumping everything that AI XBT has been doing for over the last year into Hustle.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I was looking through it yesterday. I think they've set the API to, it's like 50 or 100 posts per day that we get in that terminal. I know AI XBT tweets a lot more, but I think they're curating it on the back end and they're classifying it and rating it in some sort of way. And so I guess it's like the quote unquote most important information that he has. They're basically funneling through these APIs, which we get to the terminal. So you get all of the best information.
Incredible,
man. Yeah, so many streams of income for AI XBT. It seems like he, making money from his X account too. He's getting all those impressions.
They launched the Boop thing yesterday too, right? Launched the token. It's kind of funny where it was kind of the KOL dilemma where you get to launch a token, but you have to put your brand depending on how you say it, but you could potentially get this airdrop. For them, you could kind of just scapegoat it and be like, oh no, AI XBT did it, right? It's on Agent, right? kind of thing. Yeah. But no, they're good guys. They're a really cool team. We've been interacting with a handful of them, and they've been really great.
Amazing, yeah, man. Can you talk a little bit about the users? And I saw you do a tweet this week talking about how the users have kind of grown a little bit. Could you talk about the analytics of what's going on with Hustle, maybe the amount as well?
Yeah. So let me do a refresh. So Hustle V2 launched on March 17th. So it's been like 6 weeks or so. We started tracking information on April 6th. So about 2 weeks later. So from April 6th to today, there's been 2,100 unique users. The average session time is 17 minutes. and there's been 22,000 visits to the website itself. On a daily use since April 20th, there's been a low of 150 users and a high of 220 users in one day.
That's crazy.
So, which is drastically up, because when we started tracking on April 7th, I guess is the first day. So April 7th had 65 users. April 8th had 129 users, and it stuck into that range until April 18th, April 19th, April 20th, then it shot up. So it's kind of been consolidating, and then 100 more new users came in. And so we like to, I like to share the information. It seems like other teams like to kind of show these kind of inflationary numbers, right? Where they say, yeah, we have, 10,000 users. And then you ask them, is this cumulative? Is this daily? And then they're like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe figure that out yourself, right? Kind of thing. It's kind of interesting. Ab and I were on a stream the other day, or this AI Spaces the other day, and a team was on there. And again, I'm just pulling numbers from what they say. Apparently, their platform had $77,000 in trading volume in a month, but 1.2 million users is what they're claiming, right? Which
doesn't make sense.
And says 1.2 million users in crypto right now.
That's what I'm saying. So, guess everyone is using their platform. And it's easy to inflate numbers when you have like a token where people open up an account and stuff like that. But cumulative, I don't think is very authentic. And also too, I think users who have been around from the beginning, they like to see these like daily users numbers because they were there with you from the beginning, right? So it feels like they're a part of this journey, and a lot of them are. I know like these type of numbers, when you're more authentic of saying, yeah, we have 200 daily users, that's not going to have as much of a price impact on the token as people want, right? Where if I say, yeah, we have 1 million users, most, for a percentage of those people, they'll actually believe that. Like, oh, that's 1 million daily users, right? But that's not the case. Or if you say, yeah, we have 10,000 users, and really it's been cumulative over 4 or 5 months, like that has an impact on the token, whereas the 200 don't. But I mean, if we had been tracking since we launched the first version, we'd probably be in the same realm of over 10,000 people who've kind of interacted with it over the few months. But, I like to be more authentic, and I think it's the investor side of things actually seems to be more interested in that. We've had actually recently like 3 or 4 actual kind of larger venture capital firms just reach out. I don't think it's actually for an investment, but they're just kind of saying that they're watching it and that they like these like authentic number updates. That's like the first thing that they point at is we like to see the growth. So I guess it depends on kind of who you're talking to. But for us, the numbers are real, and we're getting about 6,000 requests a day. So think of one request as one prompt. So it's about 200 to 300 prompts per hour.
Yeah.
So you're getting about, good.
I was gonna say, well, they're real because you guys are paying the inference fees, right?
And I mean, I'm gonna be completely honest, dude. If you have 1 million users, you're probably paying $10 million a month in inference costs. Like, it's not a cheap thing to do. Even having 10,000, active users, depending on the model that you're doing. I mean, even if you're using the ChatGPT Mini, it comes out to a tenth of a penny. So even if you have 10,000 users and they're doing, just say even 10 prompts a day, right? That's a penny. So then you do a penny times,
10,000.
times 10,000 people, right? What is that, like $10 or $100 or something like that?
$100.
$100, right? That's, that's sustainable. But the ChatGPT Mini, we've tried testing with it. I think this is what some of these protocols are using, because with the Mini, it doesn't work half the time. And the other times it does work, you have to be very specific. You have to put the contract address, you have to put the exchange, you have to put the ticker, you have to be like very, very specific. Whereas we kind of went the other route. We used the more of a premier model that's more expensive, but you could be much more loose with the interaction. You could just say buy bonk and it kind of figures and it knows what to do. Whereas these other ones are fucking impossible. They would never work with Agent Hustle. We've tried. Once we get this automated trading and state machines live, I think we have a better direction on, hey, these prompts are, you know, less intensive, so you can kind of use these lower models, but then these more complex things, you know, you have to use these more premier models that are much more expensive.
Yeah. I would be so worried if I was you, like wake up one day and just save 100,000 new users. Like, oh crap, this bill's gonna be insane.
Well, this is why we have to change the business model here soon.
Yeah.
Is, you know, we've told all of our users that, you know, this has been free for 6 weeks. It's not cheap to run. You know, we're not a VC funded company, but we have, you know, now product market fit and we have users. Obviously, we don't want to run people out the building by charging too much. And obviously, there's a token as well. So you want to, you know, make sure that the incentives are aligned. It is interesting, though, where some of the VCs and funds and analysts that have reached out, you know, asking us about tokenomics and stuff like that. Some of them are helping other AI companies. And they've said that a lot of the AI projects are in a similar position to what we're in. And what I mean by that is when the AI boom happened at the end of last year, all of these tokens were launched on Pump Fund. And so what happens on Pump Fund is you distribute 100% of the supply. And so the majority of these AI projects have less than 10% of ownership of the token. Like we only own 6% of the token, you know, because we didn't really expect it to take off. It was more of kind of an experiment. It's lucky we even have that. And so now you have this dilemma where, you know, users want the token to go up, but you have, you know, 95% of the token distributed. Whereas something like Wayfinder, where you can basically control the supply the entire time because you're only releasing 20% of the token, right? So it makes it much easier for the number to go up in that kind of dynamic. And so that's why I think you see things like Hustle and some other popular projects that are under 20, 30 million, even though they have 50,000 holders, is because the whole entire supply has been distributed. And so then you think of like, okay, how do we get back to, you know, a little bit more supply control? You know, how does that fit into our business model? And then how do we get the basically the number to go up or the value to accrue? Because that's the best marketing. You don't have to pay for marketing if the number is going up because everyone on the timeline does the marketing for you. So it is a complex, you know, situation to be in. I guess you could say that, you know, there's, you know, a few dozen teams who are in this position, so that we're kind of not alone, but it just means that the best teams then will survive, who can be able to employ, you know, a solid tokenomic strategy over the next 6 months to a year and be able to kind of dig yourself out of this free or complete supply distribution that happened last year.
Awesome. Yeah. So, you know, we've been pretty much hitting on Hustle, which is obviously it's like a big part of y'all's focus right now. There is another aspect that you guys have really, you know, become experts in, and that's kind of bringing assets from different ecosystems, environments, chains, however you want to say it, to a new ecosystem, environment, and chain. And so that is, you know, a big part of your business as well. You guys are about to have the vaults. Could you talk a little bit about that before we end the segment?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are deploying on Base. We've already done it. The first 2 collections on Base are going to be 2 inscription collections, MF PERS and PPERS. We've started adding the metadata, and I think Shannon's also started working on the minting of it as well. And then on Ethereum, we deployed a Taproot Wizards collection because there's a certain protocol that's requested that, so we want to support that. So it's really just kind of hooking that up and getting that underway, and then we'll get those launched, and then we can market it as well as the bulk minting tool. It all kind of stems from the SDK. Shannon's been basically taking everything from Hustle, everything from the Emblem system, and it's all its varieties, and then kind of merging it all together. And it's been a lot more complex, I guess, than he had anticipated, but with the headless hustle being live, that takes the AI side of the SDK done. And I know the last few days before this hustle stuff, he was working on the base integration as well as the Taproot wizards. And so once those are live, and once you get the first collections set, then essentially you have the pathway to then deploy basically as many collections as you want. I know there's like 2 or 3 other e-scription collections that have reached out to us, who also are in the queue, who want to launch. And then I think on ETH, we're going to be probably deploying collections for all of the traditional ETH collections, like CryptoPunks and Penguins and Apes and stuff like that. And we already have a lot of the ordinal collections live. And then we are also working on Solana. It's great. We have 2 developers that are working on the Emblem side of things. And we're also building our point system as well, which is, I think we're going to launch probably at the beginning of Q3 alongside a cross-chain NFT application that we've also been developing in stealth that I think should be pretty interesting to a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know what you're talking about. It's exciting for when that comes out too. And I know you guys are going to probably hold that back for a little bit, but for the audience, that is going to be really fun and exciting. I'm curious, you guys were known for kind of, helping some of these old OG, the first NFT collections really from Bitcoin have success last cycle. Did you guys do like joint marketing with like the Rare Pepes and stuff like that last cycle? If not, do you plan to do something bigger this time? Because like you're gonna have a lot of opportunities with a lot of different collections going from here to there. Is there gonna be like this guerrilla type marketing or just like in your face type marketing collaborations with them?
It's a good question. No, everything's really happened organically. Most projects that have used Emblem are doing it out of necessity. So like ordinals, for example, right? There was nowhere to trade these, so people were doing it out of necessity. Same with Rare Pepes and such. With the e-scriptions, people ask, why are we moving these e-scription collections to base? Well, there's communities in e-scriptions, but the protocols not actively being developed on by the eScription team as they move to build Facet, which is kind of their L2. So these communities are really just kind of stuck in one place. And so they want to move over to Base so that they can be a part of the Base ecosystem and start actively trading. And right, with deploying Taproot wizards on ETH mainnet, that's because there's a ETH NFT5 protocol that wants that has a lot of volume. And I guess you're getting a lot of questions. So our approach generally is through the grassroots kind of guerrilla marketing style, where we just talk with developers or communities or creators who have a certain type of use case. And generally from what I've seen happening is once one person does this, then everyone else kind of follows suit, right? So like one of the conversations that we're having internally is 2 years ago, even up to about 1 year ago, the big request was, hey, we want ordinals on Solana, right? And so when that's live, in the next few months or so probably sometime in Q3, how do you get people to move their ordinals to Solana? Or is that even something that's even of interest? There's obviously always going to be pushback. We found, right, this idea of like moving NFTs cross-chain is still very fringe idea. And Bitcoin community still has this like maximalist perspective, although that is slowly fading into the background, right? Of like, we want to keep our NFTs on chain. We want to keep our runes on chain kind of idea. But for us, it's like all you need is one collection from ordinals to, start trading on Solana, and for the Solana community to pick up on that, for everyone to do that. Or for example, you could do this with CryptoPunks. If CryptoPunks are trading on Solana and people like that kind of fast transaction speed, then eventually other big collections are going to be like, oh shit, I want to do that as well. So it is a lot of groundwork. It's a lot of DMing, Telegram chats, going through this conversation, getting them on the show, build familiarity. It's a lot of the kind of politicking, networking type stuff, which I don't think a lot of teams actually do. And so this is why I think that we excel, is because that's just something I've been kind of groomed to do my whole life, being in Vegas, working on the strip, and, being an entrepreneur. You just know the ground game. And I think it's a very underappreciated aspect of crypto that not a lot of people are aware of, or that even has to be done. A lot of people in the space think that, hey, we're going to build this protocol and they're going to come, or we're going to build this protocol and we're going to hang, a token in front of everyone. But where the real money's made and where the real adoption is on the business side. When you do these collaborations, right, with whether it's a business with the creator team or two projects or whatever, that's really what has, it has large, magnitudes of effects. It's, it has this amplification of acceptance and trust when you get two big people working together. But at the end of the day, it's still humans on the other side of these projects and businesses that you have to go and have the conversations for. And with the NFT space, it is probably, I would say within the NFTs, that's definitely amplified because there's this like aspect of tribalism in NFTs. There's this like culture, right? There's this emotion because people are tied to their, assets because of the non-fungibility of it. And so we're just going to continue to do what we do and continue to have this ground game and this effort. And right now the focus is on AI because, I think that has the largest impact. But at the heart of it, Emblem, we're still the largest NFT bridge in the industry by far. I did see that Yuga Labs has their own kind of Emblem competitor now called Shadows.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Shadows.
It's the mirror approach, right?
Yeah, so they're using an indexer and layer 0, something called LZ read to do it, which is good, right? I mean, for us, then it makes us, even more competitive. Each solution offers different types of things. With their approach, they can't do Bitcoin assets because it uses smart contracts to do that until layer 0 figures out how to deploy on Bitcoin, I suppose. But so there's another competitor, right? They're moving apes and stuff over there. We have 5 years of development experience on them, although they have a large team. That's probably the most funded company in the industry. That's also working with probably the largest or the most funded interoperability protocol in the industry. But that doesn't scare us. That only makes us work harder. So yeah, couldn't be more excited.
Yeah, competition brings out the best in you, right?
It's best for users at the end of the day, which is the most important.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. And last thing I'll say on that is I think you're absolutely right. Like, you got to have a business side of it. It's not a build it and they will come situation here at this point. You've got to collaborate. And you see that with that's the first level in our space. And then the next one is something like what Luca Nets is doing with Pudgy, right? Like going out to Web 2 and bringing it in. Obviously, it depends on your project, but I'm excited for you guys, man. You guys are going to have a hell of a year. You're going to be able to brand everywhere. So I'm definitely looking forward to that and appreciate you spending your time with us and the community, breaking down every week for them what you guys are doing.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I always enjoy the conversation. Should be a good year. We're working hard to get where we need to be. There's a lot of cool and exciting things that are going to be happening. And yeah, man, appreciate the time. Should be a fun year overall. Again, I'm going to keep telling you guys to come to Vegas. I know you guys don't have a plan, but make the last second trip and you'll enjoy it.
100%.
Yeah, man. Is there any would you guys consider changing names to like Hustle Vault? Or anything like that? No, I'm just kidding. But I would love to give you one more last words to the community.
Yeah, it's just same thing day in, day out. We all work 7 days a week. We continue to grind. We're taking a little bit of a focus on AI because I guess you could say the Bitcoin community, at least from the media side, you guys have it covered. Everyone has it covered. You guys even expanded a little bit. And in a bear market, you should be able to expand to other areas. So for me, it's another adventure. I've done this now 3 or 4 times in the crypto space of expanding wider and wider and wider. And it's a new space that I continue to learn and get to meet new people and eventually bring that all back to the Bitcoin space, which I still find to be the most interesting blockchain of all 3, but it takes a lot longer to develop. So yeah, we're going to be here for a long time and a good time. And yeah, appreciate you guys and have a good one.
You too. Have a good weekend.
See you, man. Absolutely awesome. As always, really appreciate Jake giving us the time. And you guys, man, you guys are lucky. You actually get a one-on-one, like almost like a fireside chat with someone who's building something not just, awesome in AI, but awesome with the NFTs and the ordinals space as well. So we're definitely lucky to have them as a partner and really appreciate 485 of you guys in here right now. Absolutely awesome on a Friday. Love it. Love it. 2.5 hour stream, man. I'm beat. I know you're beat. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, it's been a long week, but a productive week. And, we have a big announcement for you guys next week as well. So stay tight with that. And appreciate each and every one of you guys. If you could hang out a little bit longer and check out our partners, we would greatly appreciate that. Merlin Chain is the scaling solution for Bitcoin Layer 1 assets and protocols. If you are a builder on Bitcoin Layer 1 and you want to scale your protocol, build on Merlin Chain. They have great builder support there. And if you're a retail user and you want to swap for Doggo to the Moon, go to merlinswap.org. They have a great liquidity pool there as well. Last thing is, if you have Merlin Chain tokens, you can help secure the chain with a proof of stake and earn 15% APR at merlinchain.io. And then BetBTC is the predictions marketplace of the Bitcoin ecosystem. They utilize ICP and Bitcoin tech for you guys to be able to place bets on their marketplace. All you need is a Bitcoin wallet, some Bitcoin, and 6 Bitcoin blocks. You can place bets in their Blitz markets, which is 10 minutes to select the price up or down for Bitcoin, Solana, or BNB. You can choose, and then additional 10 minutes to see if you win or lose. And you can learn more by visiting their website at betbtc.win. And Emblem Bot, we just talked about these guys. We didn't go over their TGE, which is a runes token that's coming out in September of this year. So about 4 more months. You can actually participate in a pre-sale environment right now on OpenSea. If you go search Emblem Founder Vaults, it's an NFT, but once it gets to that TGE date, they will give you instructions on how to get those Bitcoin runes in your Bitcoin wallet. You can also learn about Agent AI Hustle or AI Agent Hustle, as well as their vaulting service at emblem.vision. And then Artura Finance is the perps and leverage DEX of the Bitcoin ecosystem. They will be launching on Hemi Bitcoin Layer 2, which is backed by Binance Labs. So that's a big backing there. You're going to be able to trade synthetic fungible Bitcoin tokens like Sats, Ordi, Doggo to the Moon, $1 billion Cat, as well as popular fungibles outside the ecosystem like XRP, Tau, and Ethereum. Right now, they're doing an educational series that have partnered up with us, and we are doing trader spotlights. If you are a trader, an experienced trader, and you want to get into one of these episodes, reach out to us. We'll definitely give you a review and see if it's a good fit and possibly get you into our next episode. But make sure you're following these guys because that mainnet launch is right around the corner, and you can visit their website at artura.finance today. And then Fluid tokens. We talk about them so much because they're always in the news in the Bitcoin ecosystem. But right now they're over in San Francisco finishing up the Draper University. These guys started off on Cardano, still on Cardano, but building and making big waves in Bitcoin. First to offer retail staking vaults to the public. So if you have a collection in terms of an ordinal collection, or you etch the rune with an established community, remember it has to be an established community. It could be a small established community, but just an established community. If you want to get a staking vault set up for your community, head over to their Discord, ask them how to get started. They have a team waiting for you guys over there. Very, very soon, they're going to have a new airdrop tool as well. And don't forget, they have their Aquarium bridge and DEX that takes you from Bitcoin directly to Cardano and back. You're going to be able to bridge the FLDT Rune token, which is also Cardano token 1-to-1. A lot of options for you over there. Visit fluidtokens.com. And then Tokyo Wallet, our latest partner, which we're super excited about. These guys are not just a smart mobile wallet, but they are also a swap within their wallet, right? They partnered with Sats Terminal to give you guys access to be able to swap for Bitcoin runes like Doggo to the Moon. You could also actually onboard directly with Apple Pay, Google Pay as well, and get some Bitcoin directly there. But their wallet is amazing. It's a great user experience. They're only going to make it better and better as they're just getting started in the Bitcoin ecosystem. But they support Cardano, Bitcoin, and very soon Sui as well. These guys are smart. Their team is amazing. Download their wallet on Apple apps, the App Store, as well as Google Play. Let us know what you think about it so we can give some feedback to the team there. And don't forget about our integrated partners in Foxy AI and Ordinal Hive. Foxy AI is building the metaverse in Bitcoin on Bitcoin called the Biverse, as well as their Cypher Striker first-person shooter game, which we live stream every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. You're all invited. All you need is a supported wallet, as in a Bitcoin wallet, a Phantom wallet, or I believe MetaMask as well. And then you just pick a clan that you want to join, and we go to work for about 45 minutes. It's a really fun time. And then Ordinal Hive, these guys are very, very close to kind of having all the features on their platform, but they are an aggregator ordinal marketplace. So think about finding the cheapest ordinals on Bitcoin layer 1, the cheapest ordinals on Bitcoin layer 2, and you're going to be able to find them there. They also have amazing trader tools like live mempool insights for you guys to grab something that someone accidentally mispriced. You could be the first to grab that. But thank you guys so much for checking out our partners.
Yep. Great job, man, on that. We're gonna be simplifying that a little bit starting next week. So that was a lot. I really appreciate you knocking that out, bro. But if you guys wouldn't mind checking out OnChainRevolution.io, we have some of the best articles dating all the way back to 2023. If you guys are interested in, checking that out, going all the way back in time and kind of learning what was happening and kind of leading up to where we are today, or send our website to somebody. We really feel it can help them get started and code up to where we are. If you guys need a VPN, NordVPN is the one, guys. I just learned, Yagobi just showed me that I can actually download it to my little puzzle piece up here with my my Google Chrome extension and actually have it up there. It's actually simple now. Now, every extension, I can have a different area VPN that I'm using. And not to mention, it has a malware protector. It has so many other things that you guys can use. Definitely check out our NordVPN. I think it's like $3 a month, guys. So $36 for the year. I think that's what I did. Definitely looking into it will definitely probably help you in the future. You do not want any malware on your computer, and they can actually help you with that. So check that out, NordVPN. Use our link that helps the show. If you guys are going to Bitcoin 2025 Las Vegas, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be exciting. But you guys are running out of time. You got about 20 days until the conference, 24 days until the conference, and these tickets are going to be the highest you've ever seen them in price-wise. So don't wait. Get them today. Get them through us. It definitely helps the show. And if you need merch for that event or any event, or just kind of lounge around at home, check out our store tab. We have so much really cool stuff here. This one, the Ordinal Revolution shirt, going out. We're taking this down this weekend. By Sunday, this shirt will be gone. Never sold through us ever again. And if you have one, you'll be considered an OG, like my man, Mr. Sheedy. So, and Danny Boy apparently has 2 of them. So shout out Danny Boy. But these ones are the OG shirts. We taken down, exclusive item. We were replaced by an OnChain Revolution shirt. But definitely check out everything here, guys. Really appreciate anyone just at least taking a look. It means a lot. And check out OnChainRevolution.io. And guys, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, and 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys. And until Monday, peace.
OnChain Revolution roll call. Market recap. You not bullish enough, no. You're not bullish enough, no. Look at the price go, Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed, gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and marching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction. OnChain Revolution.